Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Resurrection of the Mystery, starting from the clone of the stone-born monkey. Chapter 1, Second Year of Dagon, Kyoto, February. Cool breeze, hazy night. A convoy slowly drove out of the mansion and headed towards the street. The size of the motorcade is quite magnificent, with thousands of entourages, guards of honor and guards. In the center of the team, the four-horse carriage covered with black sedan chairs and soap is particularly prominent. However, at this time, the whole capital is like a giant beast dormant in the dark, and the accompanying people are all silent, only the wheels sparkling and the horses neighing, appearing lonely. However, as time passed, the sky gradually became clearer, and the capital became more popular. The first ones are all the officials of the imperial court, wearing long crowns on their heads and carrying jade plates in their hands, gathering on the imperial road, and going to the early court in a mighty manner. But outside the palace, although it was early spring, it was a little cold, but they couldn't resist the enthusiasm of the people. They went out of the house one after another, and peddlers peddled along the street. The streets of the capital also became lively. When the dawn breaks, the city is full of pearls, households are full of luauchi, and the voices of people are full of people, which is very impressive. Since 3 years ago, King Zan defeated the trilogy of King Wu in Jumu, and King Wu insisted that he was the one martial god in the world, not willing to be humiliated and die in battle. King Wu was defeated, and then King Zan established the Dingding Central Plains, and then proclaimed himself emperor. The Dakshuan dynasty was established, and Vientiane was renewed. This is a nascent empire, from top to bottom, from the inside to the outside, exudes a vigor and the spirit of all things competing. Teams of soldiers armed with swords and spears patrol the streets and alleys of the capital. Their stern faces are like swords shining with cold light, guarding against any criminals who dare to commit crimes in the market. This empire is very young, and there are many potential hidden dangers. A battle-tested veteran patrols the streets with his colleagues to ensure law and order. Suddenly there was some restless sound from the crowd, and the veteran noticed that his eyes moved, and what caught his eye was a large flag embroidered with the word, Yu, embroidered with flying dragons and phoenixes. King Yu. The veteran's pupils shrank slightly. This is one of the 7 kings with different surnames canonized by the emperor. Before the establishment of Dakshuan, it was King Zan who united other princes and King Wu to fight for hegemony in the world. Until the defeat of King Wu, Emperor Zan was grateful for the hard work of the 7 princes, who made great contributions in the process of defeating King Wu, sealed the throne, and sealed the country. This, King of Yu, is one of the 7 kings. Seeing the scale of this team of horses and horses traveling, the veteran suddenly remembered the rumors of recent days. The old King of Yu was suffering from injuries and illnesses. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 months ago. Now he needs the son in the capital to return to Yu to succeed him. Thinking of this, the veteran stared. It can be seen that in the convoy of the King of Yu, the people spontaneously retreated to both sides of the road. However, the expressions of these people in the capital were indifferent, but because of their status as the King of Yu, they lowered their heads and did not choose to look directly. The place where the King of Yu motorcade passed seemed to have been pressed the pause button, and all the bustling noises on the street disappeared, as if the prosperity of the capital did not belong to the King of Yu. Feeling the subtle atmosphere, the veteran's heart sank for no reason. It seems that after defeating King Wu, Dakshuan became estranged from these princes and kings who once fought side by side. The old soldier didn't quite understand the reason. After all, he was just a soldier from the grassroots. He hadn't read any books, so he could recognize his name. Go and take care of 1 or 2, don't let anyone who doesn't have good eyes collide with King Yu's frame. There was a voice in his ear, and it was the captain calling him to act. The veteran looked serious, and then went to watch the King of Yu with his superiors. The people and soldiers lined up on both sides of the road, silently waiting for the King of Yu to leave. Suddenly, a person got off the moving carriage. This person was originally sitting on the right side of the frame of King Yu. Carriage usually takes 3 people. The driver stands in the middle, driving the carriage, while the dignified man, the King of Yu, sits on the left. As for the seat on the right, only the cronies of the King of Yu or personal guards can take it. The person who gets out of the car is the person sitting on the right. The man was wearing a waist knife with a black shark skin sheath, restrained and dull, but a knowledgeable person could tell at a glance that this treasured knife was very valuable. This is a middle-aged man with sharp-edged face and piercing eyes, but his frosty temple hair and wrinkles around his eyes indicate that he is no longer young. However, his posture was as straight as a slack, and his strong clothes were bulging with muscles. The middle-aged man walked like flying. After jumping off the carriage, he came to both sides of the street in 2 steps. The soldiers standing on both sides of the street felt a strong breath rushing towards their faces when they saw the man approaching. This man is a master of martial arts, I am far behind him. The soldier swallowed secretly. Seeing the man approaching, the soldier subconsciously clenched the weapon standing in his hand, bit the bullet, and secretly nervous. But who would have thought that the middle-aged man looked a little embarrassed, and the first thing he said was, "Young master said, if you leave the capital, you won't be able to eat these market delicacies." The soldier was taken aback for a moment, then turned his head to look, and found that behind him was a scallion pancake and a puff pastry roast duck stall. These are indeed 2 well-known food stalls in the well of Beijing. The soldier grimaced, then gave way to the man. Only then did the middle-aged man take out copper coins from his pocket, and went to the roadside vendors to purchase market snacks. When the man returned to the frame, his left and right hands were already carrying bags. When seeing the movement of the king on the left side of the frame, the soldier slightly lowered his eyelids, shifted his gaze, and dared not look directly. It's not that you can't see the majesty of the king, but the king. Hey, give it to me. If you leave the capital, you won't be able to eat such a crispy duck. On the left side of the carriage frame, there is a 16-year-old boy, wearing an E-crown belt, embroidered with silk, decorated with sun, moon, stars, flowers, birds, fish and insects, which is extremely luxurious. But his figure is a little thin, it seems that he can't support this luxurious and spacious robe, but the young man's appearance is very good, his face is as white as a bright moon, his nose is high, his lips are bright, his eyes are like ink paintings, and he is full of energy. Nobility is compelling, that can be regarded as the appearance of a troubled man. But this son's bright black eyes were staring closely at the food bought by his guards. This is the successor of the current king of Yu, Prince Wong Ji. Everyone could see that the heir of King Yu begged for food the moment his personal guard got on the car. The middle-aged man with grey temples said helplessly, "My lord, pay attention to your manners. He is Prince Wong Ji's personal bodyguard, named Yan Fei. Since Prince Wong Ji was 9 years old, he has personally guarded Prince Wong Ji's life, but he is said to be the most trusted person of Prince Wong Ji. What's the matter with manners? Just give it to me first." Prince Wong Ji pursed his lips, as if he couldn't wait any longer. The duck with crispy skin is only crispy when it comes out of the pan, and the meat is juicy and elastic. It will take a long time, the puff pastry will be soft, the duck meat will be old, and the juice will be cold, the flavor will be greatly reduced. The corner of Yan Fei's mouth twitched. After all, he couldn't do anything to his master, and let the food in his hand be snatched away. Young Master Wong Ji is such a sincere heart, free and easy, everyone is used to it. Compared with the shocking words that the young master said a month ago, it's nothing more than taking some food to make a fool of himself. Yan Fei couldn't help recalling what happened a month ago. That day, Emperor Zan summoned Wong Ji and said that he was the king of Yu. According to the inheritance system, Wong Ji should return to Yu to inherit the throne. But who knows what the young master Wong Ji said? Happy here, don't think about it. How can there be such an heir? Although everyone knows that Yuedi is located in southern Xinjiang, and a large area of territory is uncivilized and wild, far less prosperous than the north and the capital. But this sentence should not be said by Yu, the heir to the king of Yu. Absurd, absurd, absolutely absurd. All of a sudden, Prince Wang's song became a private conversation of the entire Daxuan dynasty's princes and nobles, and even historians wanted to record this shocking words in the history books for future generations to entertain. This is good, it has become a joke of the Daxuan court. However, others laugh at me for being too crazy, and I laugh at others for not being able to see through. Wong Ji expressed grievance in his heart. I am a time traveler, is it easy for me? Watching the vehicle gradually drive out of the gate of the capital, Wong Ji called out in his heart, "Slate." The next moment, only Wong Ji could see the translucent gray white stone slab appeared. The surface of the slate is mottled in vicissitudes, giving people an unusually old feeling. However, Wong Ji could only summon the phantom of the slate, but could not do anything to it. Since I traveled to this world, this phantom of the stone slab has been with me. I thought it was the golden finger of the traverser, but I didn't expect that it has not been many years, and the slate has not responded at all, even though I am now. After getting out of house arrest and leaving the capital, it still hasn't moved at all. How can I use this stone slab? Wong Ji sighed quietly, his thoughts moved slightly, and the phantom on the stone slab disappeared, and he couldn't help recalling his experience since time travel. In his previous life, he was an ordinary person in Lan Xing's hometown. In this life, he just opened his eyes and became a croaking baby, the third son of King Yu. Of course, at that time, the King of Yu hadn't been conferred the title of King of Yu, he was just a prince who supported his troops and respected himself. According to the eldest son inheritance system in this world, it stands to reason that the title of King of Yu should not fall to the third son of Wong Ji. But 3 years ago, this world was still in a state of war between princes and kings, and the situation was quite chaotic. Wong Ji's 2 elder brothers died one after another in this troubled world, so the inheritance right fell on Wong Ji. However, this title is not so easy to inherit. The so-called general is away, and the king's order is not accepted. When King Yu turned to King Zan because he couldn't beat King Wu, he left his only son, Wong Ji, as a hostage in the capital. What is a proton? It is to put one's heir under house arrest in the capital as a hostage, and put it under the eyes of the monarch. This is a bargaining chip for cooperation between the 2 parties. Wong Ji was left in the capital by his cheap father. It can be said that since he was 9 years old, he has basically stayed in the capital without going out, and his every move has been secretly monitored by King Zan's secret agents. It is said that the most ruthless emperor's family, once something rises to the level of power, any blood relatives have to give way. As soon as he traveled to this world, Wong Ji deeply understood this truth. When he was still young, he spent most of his time thinking about how to activate the ability of the slate, and the rest of the time he was praying that his cheap father must not get so hot-headed and engage in rebellion, otherwise he, a proton, will die. Save. Fortunately, his cheap father is still upright. King Zan maintains the alliance and fights King Wu together. At the moment when the Daxuan dynasty was established, the knife hanging around Wong Ji's neck was finally removed. But new problems appeared again. Wong Ji's cheap father was crowned king and became one of the 7 kings with different surnames in the Daxuan dynasty. It stands to reason that cracking the earth to seal the king is already the greatest achievement in life. As the successor of King Yu, Wong Ji should be happy. He didn't do anything, and he was able to become king by relying on his own blood. This is no longer winning at the starting line, but lying directly at the finish line. But the question is, under the inertia of a unified dynasty and the need for centralization, which emperor would not want to have a higher level of power? And also beware of whether the king with a different surname will rebel. Even if the king with a different surname will not rebel this time, what about the next one? Next time, what if the emperor's successor is too useless to keep the country and is taken away by a king with a different surname? Wong Ji is a time traveler. He didn't have any great achievements before time travel. He was just self-sufficient and had no worries about food and clothing. He was an ordinary person who was content and happy. However, due to the long history of Wong Ji Lengxing's hometown, the compulsory education is in place, the cultural atmosphere is strong, and the information dissemination is developed. Wong Ji has never eaten pork. Haven't he seen a pig running? In the end, he came to a conclusion that in order to establish a unified dynasty, the power of kings with different surnames would inevitably be gradually weakened, and even the princes themselves would be eradicated by the emperor. Even if this world has an extraordinary force that can be defeated by a single person, this result is still unavoidable. This is fatal. From Wong Ji's point of view, the title of King Yu is likely to be a reminder to stick to his forehead. Cutting down the clan will definitely cut down the clan, it's a matter of time. This is Wong Ji's judgment. As a proton when he was a child, the slate that was suspected of being a gold finger could not play a role. Wong Ji lived every day trembling like walking on thin ice. Now at the age of 16, Wong Ji is still worried about the imperial court cutting down the feudal clan. The power struggle is the cruelest, and if you are not careful, it will be Juzu Xiaoxiaolei. Although the slate is useless, fortunately, compared to the other 6 kings with different surnames, as the king of Yu, I pose the least threat to the court. The so-called as long as I am useless, others will look down on me. Wong Ji found that compared with the other 6 kings with different surnames, the young King Yu had the most desolate land, the smallest population, and was located in the southernmost place, far away from the center. Although it has the specifications of a prince, it is still not as good as other princes. As for him, the king of Yu, because he lived a proton life since he was a child, he didn't have many opportunities to cultivate his own power team, he had the lowest control over the fiefdom, and his reputation was very poor. And the other 6 kings with different surnames are all heroes who have come out of the blood and fire vassal hegemony. The pass, or the main road of communication, occupies the land of the Central Plains. So compared to the other 6 powerful feudal lords, Wong Ji is simply a harmless little sheep. This is also the reason why Wong Ji guessed that Emperor Zan was willing to let him go back to the fiefdom. On the one hand, he, the young King Yu, was too weak to make waves. On the other hand, it also expresses its position to the other 6 kings with different surnames, and the Daxuan court guarantees the power and status of the vassal king. Otherwise, once the old Yu king died, the court would keep the heir of the Yu king under house arrest and take back the land of the Yu king. What would other kings with different surnames think when they saw it? The 6 kings with different surnames are all cunning and calculating people. They don't need any evidence. As long as they see something wrong, they will immediately act like hedgehogs, hiding their soft and weak points, and exposing their sharp thorns. This is not conducive to the subsequent reduction of the imperial court. Driven by various factors, Wong Ji, who had been under house arrest for several years, was finally about to leave the capital and return to Yuedi to inherit the throne. The sky is high and the birds are flying, and the sea is wide with the pride of the fish leaping, but Wong Ji is also cautious, for fear of being jealous by the court, so much so that he said the words that shocked the court and the public to Emperor Zan a month ago. Happy here, don't think about it. In the eyes of others, your father, Yu Wang Rongma, worked hard all his life to build a foundation, but was denied by your heir with a single sentence. But the more this was the case, the more Emperor Zan felt at ease with Wong Ji, and he worked hard to persuade Wong Ji persuasively. It is said that the vassal king is the barrier of the empire, and the world is initially determined. There must be a vassal king like Wong Ji, stationed in the pass, to appease the people. He also said that Wong Ji is not young anymore, he should not be greedy for luxury, but should take up the responsibilities of his parents, guard the frontier, and stabilize the country and society. Emperor Zan persuaded him so much, what else can Wong Ji do? It can only be the title of the king of Yu who is reluctant to accept it. Of course, Wong Ji also talked back and forth, saying that Yuedi is too desolate, there are many uncivilized places, and he will live a bad life when he goes back. Emperor Zan said that it was easy to handle, and sent carpenters, blacksmiths, farmers, and other technical personnel to Yuedi to guide production development. You see, my Daxuan court will never treat any meritorious officials badly. In short, I want Wong Ji to return to Yu to inherit the fiefdom, for fear that he will stay in the capital all the time, and other vassal kings will think that the court is going to put King Yu under house arrest and plan to cut down the vassal. Only by guaranteeing the power of Wong Ji, the king of Yu, other kings with different surnames will feel at ease, relax their guard and trust the court. You can only gain if you give up. It is said that if you can't give up children, you can't catch wolves. Ever since, Wong Ji led thousands of people, guarding the road, and drove out of the capital. At the last moment of leaving, Wong Ji turned his head and looked back at the capital, thinking to himself, "Farewell, prison." The team of thousands of people and the chariots and horses walked unhurriedly on the road. From Kyoto to Eki, it takes about 4 months. The first half of the journey is okay, you can take the official road, the ground is flat, paved with bluestones, and it is very convenient to travel by carriage and horse. But in the second half, it's uncomfortable. There are many river networks and hills in the land, and the climate is warm and rainy. Often, after 5 days of driving, there will be a rain, or even shorter intervals. It's okay if you take a boat by water, but you'll suffer if you want to go by land. The mountain road is rugged and winding, and the land is muddy. If the rut gets stuck in the mud, it often requires horses to pull hard to continue walking. What's more, among the entourage, most of them are from the north, who are not acclimatized to the water and soil, and vomiting and diarrhea are also common things. No, it coincides with the rainy season, and the rain continues one after another. Wong Ji and his party had to stop again. There is a village ahead, let's rest there. Wong Ji said. He is the king of Yu, he has the final say among the group, and the team can only rest if he says they can rest. However, Wong Ji also added, go and ask the accompanying craftsmen and their families if they feel unwell and need care. In this entourage, excluding the family members, there are more than 150 craftsmen who are good at carpentry, iron smelting, forging, building houses, and farming. They are technical talents given by Emperor Zan. Wong Ji attaches great importance to these talents who have mastered production technology. Whether he, the king of Yu, can survive in Yuedi in the future, these talents are indispensable. Along the way, Wong Ji was afraid that these laying hens would bump into each other, so he always took care of them. Even if they are sick, Wong Ji will pay for them to be cured. And such a move, in the eyes of ordinary people like this, is simply flattering. This is the king of Yu, one of the most noble people in the world, who actually values us grassroots so much. Especially once, because the road was slippery and muddy, a carpenter accidentally dropped his leg and was unable to move. The king of Yu was willing to take out his own horse and carry the carpenter on his back until the injury healed. These accompanying craftsmen felt that their minds were dizzy. Although King Yu was young, he was so approachable and friendly to others. The resentment in the hearts of the craftsmen because they left their hometowns and traveled too much was completely gone. Instead, they firmly developed a sense of following. Of course, what Wong Ji wants is not for these craftsmen to be sloppy, but for them to produce well. After confirming that the accompanying craftsmen were not lost, Wong Ji led the team towards the nearest village. He had read the map beforehand and knew that there was such a village nearby. However, when the group actually arrived, the result surprised Wong Ji. Master, the village in front is empty and has been deserted for a long time. Yan Feihui reported. Wong Ji frowned, and then remembered that he had heard rumors when he was under house arrest in the capital. Before the world was settled, the princes fought against each other, wars broke out frequently, the people were in dire straits, the people were displaced, and the places where they originally lived became uninhabited villages. This may be the reason for Wang Ji's current situation. Feeling the pain caused by the war, Wang Ji's heart sank, but it was still necessary to take shelter from the rain and rest. Wang Ji asked everyone to go to the deserted village to rest. As a personal guard, Yan Fei found a relatively complete and spacious house in the village as a resting place for his son. But since it is a barren village, don't expect to have good rest conditions, you can only reluctantly shelter from the wind and rain. Yan Fei skillfully set up the bonfire, and watched his young master pick up thatch. After the thatch is dried, it is the bed. Yan Fei felt both helpless and distressed by the crude rest conditions. Is it plausible that your own son is the king of Yu, living in a shabby room and sleeping on straw mats? Wang Ji is quite content, he has experienced worse living conditions than this before crossing, and he is still alone. At this moment, he looked at his bodyguard, smiled and said, Lao Yanfei will keep watch tonight. Wang Ji's tone revealed respect. Yanfei was his personal bodyguard since he was a child. The responsibility lies, Yanfei said in a deep voice, holding a saber in his arms. The succinct promise made Wang Ji feel at ease. He yawned, he was also exhausted, and soon fell asleep after calming down. Wang Ji opened his eyes in a daze, only to feel that his brain was a mess and he had no ability to think. He looked around, it was still the shabby room in the lonely village before falling asleep, but there was no guard Yanfei by his side. Wang Ji felt confused and uneasy. Turning his head to look out the window, he saw that the rain was no longer there, and there was a scorching sun hanging in space. But the scorching sun was as bright red as blood, and the blood light, shining on the person did not feel the slightest warmth, but it was as creepy as a biting cold wind. Wang Ji felt something was wrong. Thinking of defending himself, he casually took out a sword. I have also practiced martial arts. Although I am not very talented, but with a sword in my hand, it should be no problem to deal with 2 or 3 people. Holding the sword in his hand, Wong Ji leaned against the wall and walked cautiously towards the outside of the house. Suddenly, I heard a rush of impatient horseshoes, and there were panic shouts outside the house. Wong Ji was startled, and turned his head to see that there was actually a soldier riding a war horse holding a long dagger behind him. The soldier's facial features were indistinct, as if covered with a layer of blood mist, which made people feel extremely terrifying. Wong Ji was about to protect himself, but the soldiers moved faster and waved blood-stained weapons. Wong Ji only saw a flash of cold light, but he couldn't feel the existence of his body. His eyes began to spin around, and finally fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, Wong Ji saw the soldier get off his horse, grab his hair, and tie it around his belt. I was beheaded, and my head was taken away. Wong Ji suddenly realized that at the same time, he also saw that besides him, there were many soldiers and unarmed civilians in the whole village. Soldiers killed civilians, cut off their heads or ears, and collected them. After all the villagers were killed, the soldiers put down their weapons and set up a bonfire. While eating barbecue, they talked and laughed about how many heads they took and how many military merits they could exchange for. Wong Ji's head and the heads of other common people were put together to form a jingguan. Wong Ji opened his eyes and saw the blood-stained, corpse-strewn village, and at the same time saw a flag fluttering in the wind. On the flag there is an eye-catching character, Wu, with fangs and claws. Wu, King Wu's army. Wong Ji suddenly realized. The next moment, everything in front of me disappeared. Wong Ji opened his eyes, only to see sparks exploding from the bonfire, and heard the sound of dripping rain. Looking up, it was Yan Fei holding the saber. "My lord, are you awake?" Yan Fei asked. Wong Ji opened his mouth, and suddenly realized that what he just experienced was just a dream. The next day, the rain stopped. Wong Ji didn't rush to hurry. He had to wait for the sun to come out and dry the muddy road, so that everyone could travel easily. Although he was still staying in the isolated village, the dream last night made Wong Ji feel uncomfortable. After thinking about it for a while, he touched his neck and couldn't help thinking. My dream, is it something that happened in this village? This village was once slaughtered by King Wu's army. A few years ago, the world was still in chaos. Among several vassal forces, King Wu is the most powerful. Not only is King Wu himself known as the land martial god, his own martial arts cultivation is extremely terrifying, and his army is also a brave and skilled tiger and wolf division. Facing any prince, King Wu and his army are crushed. However, although King Wu is powerful, he is self-willed and does not show benevolence and righteousness. It is not uncommon to see cities slaughtered and surrendered. Even Wong Ji, who was imprisoned in the capital since he was a child, has heard of King Wu's brutal name. However, the massacre of the village by the army happened in my dream. In reality, this village may not necessarily be deserted because of the massacre. Wong Ji complained in his heart. He didn't regard the dream as reality and something really happened, he just thought the dream was weird. However, at noon, Wong Ji began to doubt. Because he learned from most of the accompanying people that they had similar dreams last night. They were all in this village, they were all killed by the army, and they were all under the banner of King Wu. It is a coincidence that one person has a dream, but it is not a coincidence that a group of people have the same dream. In particular, some people also found headless bones from the village that had been hacked with knives and axes. These details are confirmed by the dream. Is the dream real? Is this a dream entrusted by someone? Who entrusted it? The word, ghost, popped up in Wong Ji's mind instantly. Those grieving ghosts who died under the butcher knife of King Wu's army. No, is this world haunted? Wong Ji felt strange. Because he was under house arrest in the capital since he was a child, he has limited access to information, even reading books. Apart from knowing that there are powerful martial arts in this world, Wong Ji didn't pay much attention to the rumors about gods and ghosts among the people. After all, it's all superstition, and no one has actually seen gods and ghosts in reality, leaving evidence, and there is no official announcement to prove it, so naturally it cannot be taken seriously. But what happened last night made Wong Ji suspicious. Could it be that I used to sit and watch the sky? Feeling a little uneasy, Wong Ji went to ask the guard Yan Fei. Dream, I didn't dream last night. Yan Fei shook his head. This confused Wong Ji. He then asked the other accompanying guards, and found that as long as he was good at martial arts, the guards with strong blood didn't dream last night. What's going on here? Wong Ji was puzzled and told Yan Fei about the situation. However, this well-informed and martial arts guard also feels confused. Young master, I have never heard of such a weird thing before. Yan Fei frowned, feeling unbelievable. Seeing this, Wong Ji was even more confused. Are there ghosts in this world? Or is there no ghost? But Wong Ji didn't dwell on it for too long. At Chenxi, the sun broke through the clouds and the weather became scorching hot. In the afternoon, Wong Ji reckoned that the muddy road should have been dried by the sun, so he asked everyone to continue on the road. Since you don't understand this kind of ghostly thing, then just stay away from it. The 15th day of leaving that weird and isolated village. Sure enough, after leaving, Wong Ji and others never had such a weird dream again, and their team hurried, and finally came to a land of fish and rice, Shangyan County. This is already Wang Ji's fiefdom. The kings of the king of Yu are all Gisheng, and there are 2 counties in the fief, namely Shang County and Miao County. There are 19 counties under the 2 counties. Among them, Shang County is relatively rich, with 7 counties including Shangyan County, with a large population, developed agriculture, dense river network, convenient water transportation, and direct access to the East China Sea. In Miao County, there are many uncivilized and desolate areas, with a small population, many mountains, rugged roads, and overgrown bushes. There are often fierce beasts and poisonous snakes, and even barbarian tribes harass the border. Entering his own fiefdom, Wong Ji was a little bit worried and finally let go of half. As for the other half, Wong Ji doesn't know how he will face the bureaucrats in the capital. Those people are the power team left by my cheap daddy. The vassal king has a lot of power. In the fiefdom, the appointment and removal of officials, military command, taxation and coinage are all in the hands of the vassal king. The vassal king is the king, the lord of a country, and there are hundreds of civil and military officials under the king. That is to say, after Wang Ji returned to the capital, he would face the old Yu king's prime ministers, Tai Wei and Sikong. These 3 are responsible for government affairs, military affairs, and supervisory power respectively. If Wang Ji wants to take over his fiefdom, he must deal with these 3 people. To be honest, Wang Ji still has no idea in his heart. As a time traveler, he also knows about such things as power overhead. Who knows if these 3 people have evil intentions? After all, Wang Ji has been under house arrest in Kyoto since he was a child, and has never had contact with these 3 people. At this time, can I only hope that their loyalty to the old Yu king will continue to me? Or is it that my cheap father made arrangements before his death? Wang Ji felt helpless, these things were beyond his control. He is also rushing ducks to the shelves. But fortunately, Wang Ji has already entered his fief, and he is not in a hurry to return to Gisheng immediately. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be the officials who came to welcome the king. How can the king depend on the officials' faces? So Wang Ji stayed in Shangyan County, waiting to see the attitude of civil and military officials. During the waiting time, Wang Ji first arranged for thousands of people to accompany him, and he himself took the guards to the most famous, Shenxi Mountain, in Shangyan County. This mountain got its name because there is a strange stone on the cliff facing north. The shape is like a poultry egg, smooth and round, 3 feet 6 feet 5 inches high, 2 feet 4 feet round, and 9 orifices and 8 holes. The appearance is quite strange, like a hill. Over time, the legend of sacred stone has spread here in Shangyan County. To say that this strange stone is absolutely extraordinary, it must be left by the gods. Because of the miraculous nature of the strange stone, gradually some people began to worship the sacred stone, such as praying for rain, marriage, funeral, and enlistment. If you have nothing to do, come to the mountain to worship. What if it is really useful? The legend of the sacred stone has been circulating in the local area for more than 200 years. Wang Ji also knew the local legends, so he just found it interesting, and he was also quite curious about how strange this sacred stone is. The parameters of this stone are actually very similar to a fairy tale in his Blue Star hometown. And because the surrounding area of Shenxi Mountain is clean, Wang Ji plans to go up to the mountain to practice martial arts during the day, and live in a homestay at the foot of the mountain at night. At the same time, they are waiting for the reaction of all civil and military officials in the capital. Anyway, the worst outcome is that this group of people has two minds and plans to empty me, or even put me under house arrest. Then I will report to the central government, let the central government send troops to clean up the ministers, and then let the central government send officials to take over Uedi. Emperor Zan should be glad it happened. Although Wong Ji is very weak, he is not without the means to die together. With such confidence, Wong Ji patiently stayed near Shenxi Mountain. Beautiful mountains, shrouded in mist. The morning dew is just coming, on the cliff with lush flowers and trees, golden iron are ringing, and two figures are dancing swords in the morning mist. Wong Ji adjusted his breathing, put his legs around his waist, and looked radiant. The luxurious Yuang uniform has been replaced by a simple warrior outfit. He holds a 3-foot Qingfang in his hand, and puts his heart into every move. There is already a thin layer of sweat on his forehead. He was training against Yan Fei, his bodyguard. This warrior with wrinkles at the corners of his eyes and gray temples, at this moment, has a calm complexion, and the sharp sword in his hand is like an ink painting brush, swaying freely, with indescribable agility and randomness. On the other hand, Wong Ji's moves, although they look good, look like they have worked hard to practice, but they look dull in front of Yan Fei. But Wong Ji's expression was very focused, and he did not slack off every time he made a move. Rooting under the feet, lifting the knees and twisting the hips, a mortal guides the way, like a white rainbow piercing the sun, piercing Yan Fei's face. However, Yan Fei took half a step back as if walking in a leisurely garden, and followed the shooting star to catch up with the moon. Wong Ji's sword stopped in midair, 10 centimeters away from Yan Fei's entrance, but he couldn't make an inch of it. Looking down, you can see Wong Ji's right wrist holding the sword, less than 3 centimeters from the tip of Yan Fei's sword. If he was facing the enemy, Wong Ji's tendon would be severed by the enemy before he stabbed out with this sword. "Young master, take a break," Yan Fei said in a gentle tone, turned his wrist, and retracted the sword. Seeing this, Wong Ji withdrew his sword, raised his hand to wipe the sweat from his forehead, sat down on a nearby stone pier, and reflected on his mistake just now. This kind of martial arts training has started since Wong Ji was 9 years old. In this world, martial arts are very prosperous. Not to mention that peasants in the countryside know how to handle crops, even civil servants in the court can dance swords, ride and shoot. Martial arts are based on blood energy, and the big realms are divided into 3 small training meat, training skin, training bone. 3 circles, easy tendon, change blood, nourish viscera. This is what Wong Ji can understand as a son of a prince. It is said that after completing the nourishing viscera, there will be no disease and no disaster, and the lifespan of a warrior can increase to 150 years old. And he is old and not decaying, his golden gun is not falling down, he is full of energy, and he can still give birth to a son at the age of 100. Martial arts practice can not only keep in good health, but also greatly strengthen combat power. Only those who have completed the 3 small exercises can have the strength of a cow and a horse, with copper skin and iron bones, and can be defeated by one person. After completing the 3 great circles, one will have a perfect body, endless stamina, endless vitality, chi and blood like a melting pot, flying over eaves and walls, picking flowers and twisting leaves can be used as weapons, and can be called the master of martial arts. Such warriors must either fight at the same level, or be suppressed by thousands of elite troops with strong bows and crossbows. Otherwise, the world is so big that there are few places where martial arts masters can't go. However, Wong Ji has also heard that above the 3 great circles, there is a higher realm of martial arts, which is the realm reached by the former martial king. King Wu can be named Wu among the princes. King Wu is the #1 warrior in the world, and he can defeat thousands of troops with one man. Even if King Wu was at the end of his life, when faced with Emperor Zan's hundreds of thousands of troops besieging him, King Wu would fight 3,000 enemy troops alone, fight fiercely for 3 days and 3 nights, and die of exhaustion. This kind of force has already exceeded the limit of a martial arts master, and only the martial king can do it alone, so the world calls it the realm of land martial god. This information was widely circulated. Even when Wong Ji was under house arrest in the capital, he could still inquire about it. There are many benefits to practicing martial arts, and land warriors are also very powerful. After Wong Ji heard the news, his blood surged. At the same time, he also wanted to see if he could stimulate the stone slab through martial arts, so Wong Ji made up his mind to practice martial arts. Although he was under house arrest in Kyoto when he was a child, his access was restricted, but his martial arts practice was not restricted. And Yan Fei, Wong Ji's personal bodyguard, is also a martial arts master at the blood-changing level. He has learned martial arts from Yan Fei since he was a child. However, the reality, Slate was not inspired by martial arts training, and Wong Ji's talent for martial arts training was not considered dead wood. He has a certain amount of talent, but several martial artists who have touched his bones have expressed euphemistically. Young Master Yu's martial arts talent is not bad, he studies hard and practice hard, and he keeps growing. He is expected to complete bone training in the next year. If there is another chance, he can break through Yijin. Translated into straightforward words, if there is no accident, the upper limit of Wong Ji's life is bone training, and if he is lucky, he can change his tendons. But Wong Ji, as the king of Yu, can recruit a bone-training martial artist with a monthly salary of 10 shi, and a muscle-changing martial artist with 50 shi. In the Dakshuan Empire, grain was generally used as taxation, and stones were the unit of grain, and grain was also used to represent officials' salaries. A family of 5, working on 60 acres of self-cultivated farmland, can earn 120 shi per year. And if Wong Ji is the king of Yu, his annual income will start with 1,000,000 stones. Emotional Wong Ji practiced martial arts by himself. It is better to spend money to recruit martial arts masters. If I were just an ordinary person, with my talent in martial arts training like this, and I could go to the army to make great achievements, I would be able to live comfortably, start a family, and carry on the family line. But I am the king of Yu, and this kind of martial arts talent is simply not enough. Wong Ji felt distressed. With his current status, he had to practice martial arts to the level of a martial arts master at the last time, otherwise he would not be able to rely on martial arts alone. But he has nothing but a noble background and a handsome skin. But princes and generals are quite different. Even my cheap father was just a district magistrate before the troubled times, and he was just a small village head before Emperor Zan's fortune. Didn't they rely on themselves to win their prominent positions now? No matter how good-looking the skin is, what is the use of other than pleasing others? There are a lot of them in the brothel and Chu Hall. If you don't have enough support, how can you keep everything you have? Quote. Wong Ji felt anxious, only thinking that his golden fingers would be broken. Martial arts cannot provide protection for Wong Ji, so he can only comfort himself in this way. In the past, King Wu was known as the king of martial arts, and he was the first person in the world in martial arts. He could defeat 50,000 troops with 3,000 soldiers and horses, and none of the heroes and princes could compete with him. But what was the result? King Wu was defeated and died, and King Zan proclaimed himself emperor. Emperor Zan's martial arts were far inferior to King Wu's, but he was able to appoint talents, win allies, and farm and raise soldiers. If 50,000 troops can't beat King Wu, then use 100,000 or 500,000 troops. As long as the country is strong, King Wu can be killed. Martial arts is not the only one, although I lack some talent, but if I can govern the country, I can also have the ability to protect myself. Because of insufficient talent, Wong Ji has more or less given up on the idea of relying on martial arts. Since practicing martial arts is not enough, let's think about power tactics. But the problem is that Wong Ji was limited to key politics in his previous life when it came to tactics. He knows a little bit about history, but he really doesn't have much practical experience. What is the situation in the court of the Yu Kingdom? Wong Ji's eyes are also darkened. It also made him feel anxious. Anyway, the worst thing is, to put it badly, to play songs every night, to drink in the pool of meat, to live a lifetime of absurdity, and it's not in vain to come to this world for a while. Wong Ji could only comfort him like this. Currently practicing martial arts on the mountain. Practicing martial arts every day, for Wong Ji, can only be regarded as a solution to his inner distress through martial arts. After all, his talent is there. It is always a good thing to keep fit, and if you really want to spend your days licentiously in the future, you must have a good body, right? As time passed, a round of red sun slowly climbed up. It wasn't until Wong Ji finally couldn't swing the sword that the two stopped. Wong Ji squeezed his wrist, feeling the blood in his body surging, filling and strengthening his body muscles like a trickle. Strengthen your body and strengthen your strength, this is the state of meat training. Wong Ji has practiced martial arts for 7 years, and he is still in the meat training environment. Martial arts become more difficult the further you go, and the more time you need. Yan Fei saw his young master's face was gloomy, and he was not good at speaking, so he pursed his lips and said, "Young master has made obvious progress this time." However, Wong Ji just nodded slightly, his face did not change. Yan Fei has been by his side for a long time, and Wang Gegwang can tell from his tone that what the other party said is just comfort. However, he is not someone who will complain, so he smiled helplessly and said, "If you have a goal in your heart, you will be diligent day after day. So what if the talent is average? What should be practiced still needs to be practiced. Let's take a break first, then we will go down the mountain and have dinner." After practicing sword for a whole morning, he was also hungry and wanted to cook rice for revenge. Yan Fei saw that his young master's expression relaxed, and his mind became active, and he said with a smile, "The more delicious it is, the more delicious it is. I asked the local cook last night. He said that the most famous delicacy in Shangyan County is mandarin fish from Shanghu Lake. You must try it." Speaking of food, Wang Ji was in a better mood, resting while drinking water. While waiting for the time, Wang Ji suddenly had a feeling in his heart, and turned his head to look at a stone standing on the cliff. The stone is blue-gray, and its body is like a bird's egg. It is small at the top and big at the bottom. It stands on the cliff, like a tumbler. Is that the legendary sacred stone in Shangyan County? Various messages flashed in Wang Ji's mind. He turned to look at Yan Fei, and said with a smile, "Yan Fei, that is the sacred stone passed down by the people of Shangyan. It really looks like a hill." Yan Fei looked at him with eyebrows, folded his arms and said, "The rumors are true. From my perspective, this boulder is 3 feet 6 feet high and weighs 2 million catties. If 10 martial arts masters contribute, it should be able to push it." Yan Fei, a master of martial arts at the blood-changing level, only has the strength of his arms in the early 40,000 catties. However, Wang Ji shook his head and said with a mysterious smile, "It is not necessary for 10 martial arts masters to take action. If the method is right, a child can shake this boulder." Yan Fei frowned, curiously said, "How do you say this, son?" The corner of Wang Ji's mouth raised, and he said softly, "On the scales used by traders in the market, a weight weighing 5 catties can hang 10 catties of pork. If we find a suitable pole, we can also use tens of thousands of catties to lift this boulder. Simply put, it's the lever theorem." Wang Ji just wanted to try to see if he could overturn this boulder with the pole theorem. When Yan Fei heard this, his expression was subtle for a while. And Wang Ji really began to think about the feasibility of this idea, approaching the boulder to see if there is a place to insert a lever under the boulder and arrange a fulcrum. While observing, he inadvertently touched the boulder with his hand. Stone-born monkey, spirit of heaven and earth, seed of gods and demons, able to change, know the time of the sky, know the location, and move the stars. Due to the end of the Dharma, the essence of spiritual energy is insufficient, and the body sleeps in a stone shell, and the spiritual wisdom is wiped out. It can revive its intelligence, turn it into a clone, and rebreed it. Wang Ji's face was dull, and a lot of information suddenly popped up in his mind. A lot of information in the mind. Wang Ji narrowed his eyes slightly, and only then did he understand the activation conditions of his strange stone slab. With a slight movement in his mind, a translucent gray stone slab that only Wang Ji could see appeared in front of his eyes. The towering iron gray stone slabs almost occupied Wang Ji's entire field of vision. The stone slab, which has been blank for a long time, now has a strong font like a knife and axe chisel, and the sense of simplicity and timelessness comes to the face. The monkey with a stone fetus, the spirit of the heavens and the earth, the seed of gods and demons, should have received the innocent beauty, the essence of the sun and the moon, shed the stone fetus, and was born as a monkey. Trapped in a stone womb for a long time, spiritual wisdom is not yet born, vitality is bleak. A ray of soul can be separated, settled in a stone fetus, turned into a spirit monkey mind, and reborn to give birth to vitality. Others become free, altruistic incarnation, false supernatural powers, free creation. Wong Ji looked at the writing on the gray wall, and felt blessed for a moment. Is this the effect of the stone slab? It can turn rare beasts and heaven and earth spirits into my avatars, and it can also allow me to use the talents and abilities of these avatars. It turns out that the activation conditions are like this. Wong Ji was surprised and sighed in his heart. There are two functions of the slate, one is to turn the rare beast into his clone, and the other is to allow him to share part of the talents and abilities of the clone. Moreover, the subject and the avatar have the same heart and mind, so there will be no such bad things as split personality, internal friction, and anti-customer. There are also two limitations to using slate. 1. As the target of the avatar, it must be a rare and exotic beast, and it must also be in the embryonic state of an unborn soul. 2. Wong Ji needs to split his soul and inject it into the embryo. Split your own soul. Wong Ji frowned, and then his thoughts moved slightly, and new information appeared on the slate. Wong Song. Soul Strength. 2.3. He can adjust the information on the slate and present the information on the slate in a way that he can understand most easily. Wong Ji's soul strength is 2.3, which is based on the standard unit of an ordinary adult. In other words, Wong Ji's soul strength is more than twice that of ordinary people. This may be because I traveled through time, and the souls of the previous life and this life superimposed to produce the effect. Wong Ji thought about it. Even if half of his soul was split, the strength of his soul would still be the same as that of ordinary people. Split the soul and turn the stone-born spirit monkey in front of me into my first clone. Wong Ji's thoughts moved slightly, and then his soul changed. Like a cell that begins mitosis. The 3 souls and 7 souls of the soul are all copied, and then split. Wong Ji didn't feel the heart-piercing pain, but felt that the subject's soul was weak, as if he had consumed a lot of nutrients. And Wong Ji's perception changed from 1 to 2. It's like the same will, with 2 carriers. The split soul cannot be detected by the naked eye, but Wong Ji's will can feel its existence. And under the influence of mysterious, unspeakable power, the second soul threw itself into the boulder in front of him. The next moment, Wong Ji felt that his cognitive world was split into 2 parts. Part of it is Wong Ji as the Prince of Yu, a martial arts practitioner, and a human being with 4 limbs and 5 senses. Part of it is buried in the stone shell, like an embryo that has not yet fully developed in the mother's body, can't feel the existence of limbs, and its thinking is muddled, not only feeling trapped in a forced cage, but also feeling hungry and wanting to the urge to eat. However, the placenta and umbilical cord that provided nutrients for his fetus could not deliver enough nutrients. He could only feel that the only nutrients in his body were constantly being consumed, and the newborn consciousness was gradually dying out. Like being trapped in a stillborn fetus. Jedi Tiantong, the end of the world, there is not enough nutrients in this world for the stone fetus to hatch. Wong Ji suddenly thought of the information describing the stone fetus that appeared on the stone slab. He felt that his other body was gradually sliding into the abyss of death. Hiss, it seems to be hasty. I threw half of my soul into a dying embryo. Wong Ji secretly groaned. It was because he was too curious about the function of the avatar slate, eager to test it, and subconsciously ignored the dire situation of the stone-born monkey. Can this be repaired after a dead sheep? Wong Ji's face was not very good-looking. Anyone who loses half of his soul will not be in a good mood. Just when Wong Ji was thinking about some rescue measures, he suddenly sank down to carefully perceive the condition of his second body, the stone-born monkey. Wait, it's not that the stone tires are without supplies, there is still a little bit of external resources to supplement the consumption of the stone tires. With a little understanding, he understands what the supply is, the people's willingness to. Yes, for hundreds of years, people have regarded the stone shell of the stone-born monkey as a sacred stone left by the gods and worshipped it frequently. In the process of worship, a special will power is produced. It is this kind of wish power, although rare, but it can also be used as nutrients to maintain the spirituality of the stone fetus without making ends meet. This knowledge is not known by Wong Ji as the Prince of Yu, but by the clone of the stone-born spirit monkey. This elf raised by nature knows it from birth, and he is born to know some principles of the operation of the world. Wong Ji was transforming the stone-born spirit monkey into a doppelganger, and also inherited some of the characteristics of the born to know part of the spirit of the world. By the way, he is free to transform. My body is a part of the characteristics and abilities that can be shared with the clone. Wong Ji reacted, and then checked his additional abilities after turning the stone-born spirit monkey into a clone. Spirit of heaven and earth, born to know, outstanding. Eye of mingling, knowing changes, knowing the weather, knowing the location, and spying on ghosts and gods. These are the abilities that Wong Ji realized and showed on the slate. Born to know it, is it outstanding? Wong Ji thought about it for a while, and found that when he was practicing martial arts, the difficulties that he had been ignoring for a long time now became clear and transparent, and he felt suddenly enlightened. How to transfer blood energy more efficiently, how to streamline fists, feet and sword moves, how to regulate inner breath to stimulate potential. All kinds of perceptions to accelerate martial arts practice burst into my mind one after another. It was like a bright flame appearing in the long darkness. My martial arts talent has become stronger. Wong Ji was surprised. And according to his perception, the talent he shared is only limited by the terrible state of the stone-born monkey that is on the verge of death. If the stone-born monkey can be brought back to life, and even grow stronger, the talent he shared will also be stronger. But just gaining talent now can make Wong Ji feel that he has made immediate progress. In addition, Wong Ji also felt that his eyes had changed a little bit. With a slight movement in his mind, he felt a coolness in his eyes. If others look at it from a close distance, they will be surprised to find that Wong Ji's originally black eyes have a golden halo, appearing in the shape of double pupils, and there is a little golden light in the pupils. Unlike ordinary people, it is quite miraculous. In Wong Ji's field of vision, he saw the qi circulating between heaven and earth. He saw the qi on the stone tire that was originally invisible and as thin as a spider's silk. I also saw the green and purple qi circling round and round on my body. With the characteristic of being born with knowledge, Wong Ji understands what these qi circulating between heaven and earth represent. The breath on the stone tires is the power of the people's wishes. Wong Ji's aura is his luck as a prince and aristocrat. In addition, Wong Ji also discovered something. The stone fetus that is in urgent need of nutritional supplements can not only absorb the power of vows as nutrients, it seems that my luck as the heir of the king of Yu can also nourish it. Wong Ji felt strange. He now has two bodies, one is trapped in a stone womb and is starving, while the other is surrounded by luck. In the eyes of the stone womb monkey, the blue and purple prince's luck is like a hungry and cold disaster victim seeing a bowl of emergency gruel, full of longing. These two bodies are my own, the left hand as the right hand. With a slight movement of his mind, his right hand was attached to the boulder. Wong Ji and the stone fetus were one mind, two bodies. Under the condition of mind-to-heart connection, Wong Ji, as the heir of the Yu King, has the luck to interact with the stone fetus without any obstacles. On a 3-foot-high boulder, there is a blue-purple aura hidden like a streamer. The elves, who were conceived in the stone womb, also felt the existence of luck. Every breath, it seemed that they had absorbed nutrients from the luck, and the precarious state began to stabilize, as if soaking in a hot spring, warm. During this process, Wong Ji, as a human body, did not feel any loss to himself, nor did his luck decrease. In order to understand the reason, Wong Ji used the magical power of the Eye of Mingling, and empathized with the experience of the stone fetus avatar. Wong Ji saw that the purple air luck in his youth was actually composed of thousands of extremely tiny, silk threads. This silk thread is the wish of the people in the fiefdom of King Yu. Wong Ji's luck is blue-purple, about 70% blue and 30% purple. The people respected the King of Yu as the king, so they contributed their power of vows. This purple luck is the symbol of the power of the people of Yu. The direction of the people is luck. Wong Ji knew it in his heart. Under the patriarchal succession system in this world, the common people transfer their respect for the old Yu king to Wong Ji, the future Xinyu king, through the name, Yu Wang. However, I, the king of Xinyu, haven't really taken over my fief. I only have a title. When I completely control the fief, my luck will break through. Wong Ji shared the characteristics of the stone-born spirit monkey as a spirit of heaven and earth. So he knows that in this world, human luck, from low to high, is black, white, blue, purple, red, gold, and 6 colors. Humans hate dogs, and those who are heinous have black, luck, while ordinary people have white, luck. A country gentry with a little reputation, the luck of the gentry is green. The so-called ambition of Qingyan, soaring upwards, ascending to the purple gate. These young gentry can follow this green energy to gradually advance in official career and transform into purple luck. The aura of princes and ministers is purple. Nobles, sages, empresses and princes all have purple aura. Before the emperors and princes became powerful, there were people who met each other, who could see the purple aura on these noble people. Purple gas is noble gas. The nobles are also divided into ranks. Princes and nobles all have purple aura, but ordinary nobles are only court ministers. 3 princes and 9 ministers are famous sages. On top of this, there are princes and emperors. The purple chi that was revealed before the fortune will change after the fortune. The luck of the princes and vassals is red, and the emperor who is powerful and unified the universe is gold. Therefore, Wong Ji judged that the upper limit of his luck should be vermilion red, and the current purple color is because he has not really controlled his fief. At the same time, Wong Ji also understood why his luck could nourish the stone-born monkey. The stone fetus is actually using my luck as a medium to absorb the wishes of the people in Yuedi. In essence, it is still absorbing the wishes as nourishment. It is just the wish that I have as the heir to the king of Yu. Legend of God's Stone has much more wish power. It's really a wonderful creature that can feed on such intangible and invisible things as wish power. Quote, this is something Wong Ji figured out, and he also thought. This world is no longer able to provide nutrients to the stone fetus. In this way, if I want the stone fetus to develop and grow, and even allow the monkey clone to break the stone shell and be born, I must manage the people's livelihood in the fief properly and obtain more vows. Used to feed stone embryos. The more complete the development of the stone fetus, then according to the characteristics of other transformation, my body can also share the changes in the growth of the stone fetus. According to the information obtained by Wong Ji, this world is extremely powerful and is experiencing the end of the Dharma. The stone fetus can obtain very little nourishment from the heaven and the earth. Only the energy of wish power can support the stone fetus. What's the matter with the development of the stone fetus? What is the matter with the Jedi Tiantong and the era of the end of the Dharma? There is also a description of the stone fetus spirit monkey. In addition to the heaven and earth elves, there are also the seeds of gods and demons. No, in the past, there were gods, demons, fairies and other things in this world. As Wong Ji thought about it, he suddenly remembered the strange things he experienced in the isolated village half a month ago. Although after leaving the isolated village, everyone has never had such a weird dream again, and combined with the current information of Wong Ji, the strange dream of the isolated village may not be simple. Wong Ji suddenly had an urge to go back to the lonely village and take a look with the eye of mingling he had just obtained. My son, Yan Fei's concerned voice came. As a personal guard, he saw his young master standing in front of the sacred stone. His expression was sometimes surprised, sometimes confused, sometimes stunned, sometimes anxious, and he reached out to touch the sacred stone for 5 or 6 minutes. Even if Yan Fei knew that his young master was extremely talented and unconstrained, he often made amazing moves and words. But this look is still rare, as if troubled by something. Calling in the ear also brought Wong Ji back to his senses. Squinting his eyes slightly, turning his head to see Yan Fei's concerned expression, Wong Ji smiled slightly. Oh, just thinking about some wonderful truths. While speaking, Wong Ji took a quick look at Yan Fei with his bright eyes. Blood energy, I see blood energy from Yan Fei, a warrior, it's like a hot furnace, like a forest fire. Wong Ji was secretly startled, it was the first time he saw Yan Fei's blood so intuitively. Just by observing, one could feel the scorching energy in Yan Fei's body. And in contrast, Wong Ji found that his blood was like a twig on fire. And Yan Fei was about to step forward when he suddenly felt a sense of peeping. The blood-changing fighters have keen senses, and Yan Fei feels that the sense of peeping is extremely sharp, like a sharp knife that cuts open the abdomen, trying to see clearly inside and outside. This made Yan Fei feel terrified. But this feeling comes and goes quickly. Before Yan Fei could investigate, Wong Ji had already lifted the mingling eye. Blinking his eyes, Wong Ji was as dark and bright as usual. Yan Fei didn't know why, so he frowned, looked around alertly, and scanned the surrounding environment. As long as he found any abnormality, he would quickly step forward to protect Wong Ji. Wong Ji naturally noticed Yan Fei's stressful appearance. It seems that by relying on my spiritual eyes, I will be able to spy on other people's martial arts cultivation in the future, and I will not be afraid of tricks such as hanging people playing pigs and eating tigers, or assassins pretending to be close. I can tell at a glance how many details there are. Quote. Wong Ji thought of a usage of eye of mingling. As for Yan Fei's unbelievable appearance after being spied on, it also made Wong Ji understand that his ability might show his flaws in front of martial arts masters whose realm is much higher than his own. The future use of this ability depends on the occasion. I may not use the eye of the mingling to harm others. It is more about self-protection and prevention before it happens, Wong Ji secretly said. Seeing Yan Fei looking around, although Wong Ji couldn't help being a bit cold and handsome, it was hard to explain, so he could only pretend to ask. Did you find something? Yan Fei frowned, remained silent, and calmed down to listen to the movement around him for a while, but still found nothing. He could only say, Young master, let's go down the mountain now. Wong Ji frowned, turned his head to look at the stone fetus still standing on the cliff, and thought for a while. Okay, let's go down the mountain first. Steaming Shanghu Lake, thousands of miles of smoke and waves, the dusk is heavy, and the rain is falling. A small building by the lake, the sound of the rain outside. Inside the house, Wong Ji was holding bowls and chopsticks, and on the table was the most famous mandarin fish casserole in Shangyin County. The fresh soup is milky white, and the plump mandarin fish is half submerged and half exposed, like agar flesh covered by a gauze skirt. A few red goji berries and ginger slices are simply decorated, and the rising heat, wrapped in the fresh aroma of the fish soup, evokes the noses of the diners present. Even if Wong Ji came from the world of material abundance, after tasting it once or twice, he still has to say something about the delicious fragrance of this fish soup. In the era without MSG and spices, the ultimate umami taste can only be extracted by cooking delicacies from mountains and seas. Wong Ji found out that this pot of mandarin fish soup in casserole is cooked with a whole day of delicious ingredients such as mushrooms, ham, tendon, tender bamboo shoots, whole chicken, and pork bones. The mandarin fish, which is the staple food, was also fished from Shanghu Lake that day. It weighs 30 kilograms, which is enough to make a fisherman go home 3 times without returning. Tasting delicious food, the hungry Wong Ji was very satisfied. Practice martial arts during the day, be determined, and meet a romantic relationship again, with a dead tree in spring, and go home with delicious food to fill your stomach. As for the romantic night, haha, life is as comfortable as that. Wong Ji shook his head, just teasing in his heart, not looking for flowers and asking willows, corrupting the mind of essence and blood. After drinking and eating, Wong Ji just stood in front of the window. The slanting wind blew over his cheeks with drizzle, bringing a little coolness. Wong Ji stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the rain scene outside the window. The lake is clear, the mist is vast, and it is boundless. A lot of information about this lake flashed through Wong Ji's mind. This Shanghu Lake is the foundation for the development of agriculture and fishery in the 3 fertile counties of Shangyin, Shangnan, and West Hunan, and the water network of Shanghu Lake spreads all over the entire Shangjun. Years ago, there was an evil Jiaojiao that was more than 100 meters long and made waves here in Shangjun, and the people suffered from waterlogging for a long time. Later, there was a goddess holding a sword to kill the dragon, fighting for several days, beheading the demon, and the body of the evil dragon was so big that it fell into Shanghu Lake. After the death of the evil dragon, all things were born, and the floods in Shangjun were no longer there. Because of the blood of the evil dragon, Shanghu Lake was full of vitality, with lush water and grass, and strong fish and rice. Shang County has always been a land of fish and rice. It can be said that this Shang Lake is the mother lake of Shang County people, with a strong cultural atmosphere. Quote, as the king of Yu, of course Wong Ji had to understand the water, soil and people's livelihood in his fiefdom. Wong Ji raised his head again and looked towards the sky. The sky was leaden, misty and misty. Not long after Wong Ji came down from Shenxi Mountain, it began to rain in Shangyin County. It's really rainy here, Wong Ji whispered, then narrowed his eyes slightly, and a little golden glow bloomed in his pupils. The rain will stop in 37 minutes. The eyes of the spirit, through changes, knowing the time, knowing the location, peeking at ghosts and gods. Wong Ji used this ability to see the changes in the weather. Sure enough, after 2 moments, the rain in the sky stopped. Immediately afterwards, the gray clouds dissipated, and the red sun poked its head, reflecting a rosy glow. Is this a humanoid weather forecast? Wong Ji felt the upper limit of his ability. There are time and scope limitations in the field of insight into the time and space of his spiritual eyes. At present, Wong Ji can only see the weather changes in the next month, which is only equivalent to 3 Shangyun counties. The longer the time and the farther the distance, the more blurred the prediction results will be. With the development of the stone fetus, the upper limit of the eye of mingling will definitely increase, and even spy on the climate change of the entire Central Plains. But, I have insight into the changes in the weather. Apart from reminding myself whether to bring an umbrella when going out, what else can it do? Quote. Thinking of this, Wong Ji suddenly saw clusters of swaying ears of rice in his sight. After opening the eyes of enlightenment, Wong Ji found that his eyesight had also become very good. Not to mention clairvoyance, but he could see things within 10 kilometers, even the hairs on the legs of a fly. And it also ignores the obstruction of misty rain and fog. Wong Ji is now seeing rice fields tens of kilometers away. Yuedi grows rice. At this season, the rice in the fields should be early rice. The first batch of grain this year, I remember that Yuedi is lightly labored. The agricultural tax is 15 to 1 tax, which is self-cultivated farmers. If it is a tenant farmer, on the basis of the agricultural tax, 10% will be halved, and as the king of Yu, how much income can I get from this batch of harvest? This question popped up in Wong Ji's mind, and it was indeed related to his interests. However, his bright eyes also saw that the ears of rice in the field are not full enough at this moment, the grains are still very small, and the ears of rice are mainly blue-yellow, and there should be a week or 2 before they are truly mature. When you know the sky, you can communicate with changes. The maturity of this grain is one of the changes in all things. I can still see the date when the rice matures. Wong Ji complained in his heart, and at the same time, he thought of one thing quite worryingly. The mysteries of the eye of the mingling are definitely not things that mortal martial arts can achieve. This must involve the laws of heaven and earth, and natural good fortune. There are really traces of the existence of gods and demons in this world. The miraculous power of the bright eye made Wong Ji realize that this world is not just as simple as martial arts. Thinking about this, Wong Ji recalled the strange dream of the lonely village that he experienced more than half a month ago. Immediately afterwards, it was associated with the legend of goddess slaying Zhao in Shanghu Lake. According to the myths and legends, the body of the evil dragon finally fell into Shanghu Lake. With some inquiring thoughts in mind, Wong Ji looked at Shanghu Lake with the eye of mingling. At a glance, the deep lake water can't stop the god pupil from visiting. Wong Ji saw that the deepest part of Shanghu Lake was about 40 meters. The corpse of the evil dragon is said to be over 100 years long, but this Shanghu Lake is 900 miles in size. If such a corpse sinks to the bottom of the lake, I would find it no less than looking for a needle in a haystack. Shanghu Lake is too big, its circumference alone is 900 miles, and Wong Ji's current mingling eyes can't see the whole situation at the bottom of the lake. Although he couldn't see the whole picture, Wong Ji still frowned. There is qi, an extraordinary kind of qi. The eyes of mingling can peek into all kinds of qi, circulating between the heaven and the earth. A martial artist has blood in his body, princes and nobles have luck, common people have wish power, and all living things have energy. These can all be called qi. And Wong Ji also has the characteristic of spirit of heaven and earth, who was born knowing it. After taking a look, he knew that the qi he saw in the bottom of the lake was a stream of essence. Plants, trees, flowers and leaves, birds and animals, all living things have essence, and after death, the essence will dissipate and return to nature, participating in the great cycle of heaven and earth. It stands to reason that it is not surprising to see spirits in the vibrant Shanghu Lake. After all, there are fish, shrimps, crabs and turtles living in the water and land, and there are many creatures. However, Wong Ji Mingling's eyes keenly discovered that besides this group of aquatic creatures, there is another source of energy from the bottom of the lake. Something is under the silt at the bottom of the lake, releasing energy to Shanghu Lake. Could it be the corpse of the legendary dragon? Wong Ji was startled. He hurriedly used the essence of the lake bottom as a clue to find out according to the picture. Soon he locked the range and demarcated the area. A little southwest of the center of Shanghu Lake, there is a narrow and long place about 100 meters long, releasing energy to the outside world. The length of 100 meters matches the length of the legendary evil dragon. Wong Ji was excited. After locking the range, he maintained the state of the mingling eye to investigate deeply. The silt at the bottom of Shanghu Lake is about 30 centimeters, covering things at the bottom of the lake, so that everything at the bottom of the lake cannot be seen. But Wong Ji's pair of divine pupils are strange, able to see through the burial of mud, and found bones one after another in a thick layer of rock crust. Long ridge, 4 legs, 3 claws, snake-like skull, but with a terrifying body length of nearly 100 meters. At a glance, the 100-meter giant corpse actually has 3,320 bones, and the smallest bone is the size of an adult man's tibia. Each bone is also extraordinary, crystal clear and jade-like. Wong Ji took a closer look, and there seemed to be something like agarose jade in the jade bones. Such an exaggerated skeleton lay quietly under the Shanghu Lake, exuding wisps of energy, nourishing the aquatic plants, fish and shrimps of Shanghu Lake. The legend is true, there really is a corpse of Zhao at the bottom of the lake. Wong Ji took a short breath, and his eyes followed the huge skeleton, from the tail to the head. Suddenly, Wong Ji's eyes blurred, and he saw a black gas the size of a fist in the giant dragon's skull. The black air condensed into a ball and took the shape of a dragon, and at the position of the dragon's head, there was a pair of scarlet glowing vertical pupils. Wong Ji was in a trance, and the next moment, he saw a 4-legged dragon. The 4-legged dragon is extremely huge. The tallest and largest building that Wong Ji has ever seen in this world is only the size of a toy in front of this giant beast. Wong Ji is like an ant in front of him. Huge, extremely huge. The size of the giant impacted Wong Ji's spirit. The 4-legged flood dragon even opened its jaws wide, like the sky falling, and smashed towards Wong Ji. Before he had time to retreat and dodge, Wong Ji blinked suddenly. Outside the window, the water is shimmering and sunny, and the surface of Shanghu Lake, which is clear after the rain, is full of shimmering sparkles like broken gold. You can even see a few boats of fishermen fishing or casting nets on the lake. After it rains, due to changes in water quality and temperature, most fish will surface to take a breath. At this time, it is time for fishermen to come out for activities. With such a beautiful scenery, Wong Ji felt in a trance. How can there be evil dragons? How can there be dragon bones? What Wong Ji saw just now seemed to be just his fantasy. No, not right. Wong Ji shook his head, and he found that his eyes of mingling had been released unconsciously. The evil dragon really exists. What I just saw was real. As for the phantom just now, he thought of his strange and extraordinary pupils, with the ability to know the weather, know the location, understand changes, and see ghosts and gods. I should have spied the power of the evil dragon just now, and I was shocked. Wong Ji took a deep breath, calmed down his turbulent mind, and warned himself. In the future, if you encounter things related to the legends of gods and demons, if the gap in strength is too large, don't use the eyes of the mingling to spy. The eyes of the mingling were lifted, and at this moment, he, who was immortal with naked eyes, could only see the scenery on the lake. The comfort of the early sunshine after the rain and the peaceful scene of fishermen casting their nets gradually stabilized his slightly uneasy mood. Looking back at what he just discovered, Wong Ji thought to himself. The legend is true. Since the evil dragon can exist, then the goddess should also exist, right? Such a huge beast can make waves, and its bones are still immortal after hundreds of years of death. I am afraid that the current martial arts master will change his face when he sees it. I don't know. What kind of cultivation is that goddess who can kill evil dragons? Could it be that it is really a fairy-like existence? Can the gods have the power to move mountains and fill the seas, and can they live forever? Quote. The more Wong Ji thought about it, his originally calm mood became turbulent again. Today's martial arts masters can only extend their lifespan to 150 years old, but what Wong Ji saw today is still completely strange after hundreds of years of death. There is also the stone-born spirit monkey that has turned into Wong Ji's avatar. Even if the spirit of heaven and earth is only in the state of a malnourished embryo, it has existed in this world for more than 200 years. There must be power beyond human martial arts. These elves and alien species can exist for hundreds of years, so human beings should also have a way to break through the shackles and obtain the mighty power of gods and demons. Wong Ji secretly clenched his fists. Today's series of encounters are constantly refreshing his worldview. He felt like a frog jumping out of the well, only now did he realize how wide the world is. The trace of the goddess is untraceable, but the beheaded dragon is indeed lying at the bottom of the lake. Maybe I can take advantage of it. As soon as Wong Ji had this idea, he frowned immediately. But the problem is that its body is lying on the bottom of the lake 50 meters below the water, buried in mud and wrapped in rock formations. This is not Wong Ji's Blue Star hometown. There are no machines that can help underwater operations. I remember in my previous life, the limit of naked diving for ordinary people seemed to be more than 100 meters. Diving is difficult, and underwater activities are even more inconvenient. In addition, you have to work hard to clean up the mud and break through the rock formations to remove the bones. Take out. It's not something ordinary people can do at all, okay. Quote. Wong Ji understood the difficulty after a little thought. Well, this should require a very strong martial arts master to do it, at least a martial arts master who has completed both internal and external cultivation. There are 6 realms in martial arts, but before the 6th realm, nourishing viscera, even though a warrior has copper skin and iron bones, the internal organs are still soft and fragile. Wong Ji considered the damage to the internal organs due to the different internal and external pressures during the diving process. Only after nourishing the viscera can a warrior be able to integrate the inside and the outside, and have long endurance. It is even easier to hold your breath in the water, and the arm strength is tens of thousands of caddies, and it is easy to break through the rock formation. Wong Ji judged that warriors at the level of martial arts masters could dig into the water. This conclusion made him a little frustrated. After all, Wong Ji is now in the meat training state. How about asking others for help, sharing news, and recruiting a martial arts master? Wong Ji just had this thought, but he immediately killed it. This kind of secret can't be shared. I'm still very weak now, and it's very easy to be coveted by others, causing me to be killed. You can't rely on others, you can only rely on yourself, but at this moment, Wong Ji can only look at the lake and talk. Thinking about it, although I can only dig out the dragon bones by myself, it is not impossible for me to become a martial arts master. After all, I have a clone of a spiritual embryo stone monkey. Thinking of his confidence, Wong Ji no longer worries about gains and losses. As long as he develops the clone of the stone-born spirit monkey well and continuously strengthens his talents, he will definitely become a martial arts master. Besides, the goddess slaying Jiao is just a folklore in Shanghu Lake. The Jiao bone is not easy to pick up. Then I will go to find out the myths and legends in other places. Maybe I can meet a good harvest, just like the legend of Shenxi Mountain, in Shangyan County. Wouldn't this be my luck? Wong Ji changed his mind and immediately discovered a vast, blue ocean market. There are traces of gods and demons in this world, and I have eyes like the eye of the Mingling. As long as I search carefully, I will definitely find some clues and gain power. Wong Ji clapped his hands, his eyes lit up, and he found the target he was chasing. For a long time I was emotionally agitated. Then there was a knock on the door. Young master, please see me if you have anything to do, the king is here. This is Yan Fei's voice. Hearing what Yan Fei said, Wong Ji was slightly taken aback. My mind shifted, and then I remembered that besides asking for immortals, I was actually the heir of King Yu. Come in, Wong Ji said. Watching Yan Fei push the door in, Wong Ji muttered again. Those ministers responded so quickly. Wong Ji has just lived in Shangyan County for only 2 days. Counting the time for news delivery and travel, it is conceivable that the civil and military officials of Yu Kingdom sent people over as soon as they were notified. Hundreds of officials and ministers dare not neglect young master. Yan Fei nodded and said, his words showed respect for Wong Ji's status. Then Yan Fei leaned over and cupped his hands again and said, Young master, the king has sent someone here, it is Tai Changcheng, and he brought the last king's edict. Tai Chang, Under the three dukes, one of the 9 ministers, is the official in charge of the etiquette of the ancestral temple. Taichang is mainly responsible for the ceremonies that need to be organized for the succession of King Yu. Let Taichang come to meet the Prince of Yu, which is a professional counterpart. Wong Ji nodded slightly, but was still a little surprised and said, "The last edict of the late king. This is the edict issued by Lao Yu King before his death." Suddenly, Wong Ji secretly thought that his cheap father was not unprepared before leaving. This reassured him a little. With a faint smile on his face. "Then please invite Tai Changqing to come and talk about it." Yan Fei nodded, and then went out to inform the messenger, and conveyed Prince Yu's approval to Tai Changqing. After making arrangements, Yan Fei returned to Wang Ji's side. As a guard, it is Yan Fei's job to stay close at every step. But apart from being a guard, Yan Fei is a little worried at the moment. "I don't know what those ministers will say when they see you." After all, Wang Ji has been under house arrest in the capital all these years, and has never had contact with those princes and ministers. Coupled with Prince Wang Ji's previous performance, and some wind reviews. "Let's be happy here, don't think about it." I am afraid that such words have already reached the ears of Chaotang, the capital of the king. Good things don't go out, bad things spread thousands of miles. Yan Fei was a little worried. However, he glanced at the young master Wang Ji's expression, and saw that the other party was calm, as if he didn't feel much worry about the next meeting. "What are you thinking now, young master?" Yan Fei was curious. Not long after, he heard Wang Ji ask him, "Yan Fei, have you heard the legend of the gods?" Yan Fei was taken aback when he heard the words, and said without thinking, "I heard that before the establishment of the Daxuan dynasty, Emperor Qian sent alchemists to build a ferry boat and go out to sea to search for fairy mountains. However, this action was fruitless. I have never found a god with all my strength, so this god should be nothing." Wang Ji listened, but also remembered the past history of this world. Before the establishment of the Daxuan Empire, the last empire that managed to achieve great unification was called the Qian dynasty. Before the Qian dynasty, this land was a situation of separatism by the princes, and later the first emperor of the Qian dynasty, Emperor Qian, ended the troubled times. When Wang Ji first heard about what this Emperor Qian did, he had a sense of sight of his blue star hometown, Shihuang. But later, Wang Ji found that many details were not correct. After thinking about it again, he felt that this was an astonishing similarity in history. After all, it is a human society. Even with extraordinary martial arts, there are many similarities in the trajectory of social development. When the desire for power reaches its peak, you will think about longevity and long-term vision, and always have your own power. There is nothing new under the sun. As long as it is in the human world, there will always be people like Emperor Qian. It is also because of this that Wang Ji can make a keen judgment that Emperor Zan will cut down the feudal clan next. It's all historical experience. These things happened once in Wang Ji's Blue Star hometown. He thought he was familiar with them. However, now that Wang Ji has come into contact with the stone-born spirit monkey and Shanghu Jiaogu, he can't help but feel strange about this world, and secretly said, "Everyone in the world thinks that Emperor Qian's search for immortals is wishful thinking. However, there really are gods and demons in this world, and they are my clones." Hundreds of years ago, the corpse of a dragon sank in Shanghu Lake, so Emperor Qian sent people out to sea to find him. The immortal may not be groundless, he may have really found a clue to the immortal. Wang Ji originally had the idea of looking for traces of gods and demons. When he thought of Emperor Qian's deeds, Wang Ji had an urge to get the other party's clues about the gods. Others can't find it with the naked eye, but Wang Ji has the eyes of the spirit. However, at this time Yan Fei said again, "My son, as far as I know, Emperor Qian was also a master of martial arts in front of him, and there were even rumors that Emperor Qian was going to break through, but it was the alchemist who was mistaken by Emperor Qian, who swallowed the so-called longevity pill, and the poisonous pill broke out. With his martial arts cultivation, Emperor Qian was only in his 70s, and he passed away. A huge empire is also falling apart. There's still such a thing." Wang Ji frowned. Yan Fei nodded solemnly. "Going to the sea to search for immortal mountains wastes people's money and wastes money, corrupts the foundation by embezzling poisonous pills, and now the scholar bureaucrats are all accusing Emperor Qian of cultivating immortals for harming the country. Cultivating immortality and harming the country. Wong Ji's expression was subtle. He pursed his lips, and Yan Fei's words did not dampen his determination to seek immortality. After all, he really encountered the seed of a god and demon. It's impossible to give up Zunxian. At worst, I will become the queen of Yu. I will do this myself. Wang Ji secretly thought. While the two were chatting, a follower reported that Tai Changqing had arrived. Tai Changqing's official residence is of the 3rd grade, with 2,000 stones in it, wearing a long crown, wearing a deep garment with upper and lower soap, with official seals and ribbons, with 3 colors of blue, red and white, and 7 feet long. This Tai Changqing from the Yu Kingdom was a middle-aged man in his 50s with a ruddy complexion and a slender goatee. With a calm demeanor and restrained eyes, the first moment he saw Wang Ji, he bent down, raised his hands above his head, and held an imperial edict. I also ask you to read the imperial edict of the late king, Tai Changqing said. Wang Ji looked solemn, took the will with both hands, opened the tie, and began to read. Since Emperor Zan ruled the world, he must respect the orthodoxy of the Zan dynasty as the first task, govern the country and comfort the people, worry about dangers and be diligent, work diligently and never slacken, and his ambition is beneficial to the people. Nihai suddenly died of illness, and it was almost impossible for him to prosper. The common sense of death and life is unavoidable for ancient and modern people, but fortunately, successors have successors, and the survival of the clan and society depends on the people. Gongzij, 16 years old, talented and sensitive, a corporal of love, should be the throne. Chinese and foreign civil and military ministers and bureaucrats work together to help our people. The Prime Minister, Zhang Yan, used to be a counselor under Emperor Zan's tent, and made great achievements many times. Emperor Zan called him Nang, but now he is the Prime Minister of Yu. Taiwei Zhao Rui, who has followed Ji Yu around since the beginning of his childhood, is brave and courageous. He is a lonely humorist. He is now stationed in Miao County with 9,000 troops, guarding the fence to deter the southern barbarian enemies. The foundation, remember, don't relax and doubt. Sikong Han Dang, a talented person who is lonely and simple, has a loyal and pure mind, and cares about internal and external affairs, no matter how big or small. Sighing, in the past, Emperor Zan called the princes to ask about their ambitions in Beijing. He blamed himself for his lack of talent and lack of wisdom. King Qing, with both talents and virtues, the royal family and relatives, are neighbors to each other. I only hope that the two countries will be safe and bless the Daxuanxi together. The foundation of establishing a country and a stable state is one of responsibility and the other of benevolence. The common people have been in troubled times for a long time, and they should rest and recuperate, pay less money, cultivate fields and open up wasteland. Avoid war, avoid hard labor, avoid harsh taxes, be cautious in words and deeds, and hope that you will abide by diligence. This father deserves it, but he actually taught his son to be bad. Wang Ji complained in his heart. He looked at the content of the last edict, and he felt that the old Yu king was suspected of defrauding his son. The content of the last edict. The first part can be skipped hastily, and the middle part is the heir appointed by Lao Yu King, the establishment of orthodoxy and the appointment and dismissal of important officials. It is no problem to determine Wang Ji as the heir, but the problem lies in the selection of the 3 princes. Let Xuandi's advisor come to be the prime minister of the Yu kingdom. Wang Ji slandered. On the surface, his expression was tense, but in fact he was crazily complaining in his heart. Wang Ji knew that the imperial court had the idea of reducing the vassal. This is the inertia of history, and it will not be changed because of a certain person's idea. The great unified dynasty naturally rejected the existence of feudal kings. But Wang Ji really didn't expect that his cheap father would directly ask the court to send someone to be his prime minister. The prime minister is the head of all officials, and all government affairs, big and small, are handled by the prime minister. It can be said that the prime minister is the person who knows the operation of the country best. Letting Emperor Zan's people be the prime ministers of the Yu kingdom is equivalent to the imperial court controlling the entire bureaucratic system of the Yu kingdom. This kind of result made Wang Ji feel quite grassy. There is a sense of sight of, the ministers want to fight to the death. Why does your majesty surrender first? The imperial court has not started to cut down the vassal, but has handed over the power of the country to the imperial court. However, Wong Ji also found that although Lao Yuwang was bad, he was not completely bad. The position of Sikong is still in the hands of the old Yu king, and he arranges for his own people. Sikong is the deputy prime minister, and he also has the power to supervise all officials, which can restrict the power of the prime minister to a certain extent. Lao Yuwang was still in his edict, expressing that he hoped that Wong Ji would trust Sikong, and that he could ask Sikong for advice on all matters big and small. This is to leave me with someone who can be used, so that I will not completely lose control of the court. Wong Ji sighed in his heart. Secretly, politics is indeed an art of balance. As for military power, it was clearly written in the imperial edict that the Taiwei stationed in Miao County and guarded the frontier so that the Nanman did not dare to invade. As far as Wong Ji knows, there is still a strong barbarian force in the south of the Yu kingdom, who often go north to harass and rob money and disturb the people. There is no problem with the Taiwei's garrison here, and the Taiwei himself is an old subordinate of the old Yu king. This seems quite normal, but combined with another article in the will. King Lao Yu actually handed over all other military powers to King Qing. King Qing is also a vassal king, but he is a clan relative to Emperor Zan, not a king with a different surname like Wang Ji. The geographical location of Qing State is located in the middle of Yu State and Daxuan dynasty, and Wang Ji passed by Qing State when returning to the fiefdom. It can be said that Yu and Qing are neighbors. But Lao Yu king gave this neighbor a large amount of military power and 3 fertile lands. Cut off your own arm to show it's harmless. If it wasn't for Yan Fei and Tai Chengqing by his side, Wang Ji had to maintain his demeanor, otherwise he would have screamed. The prime minister is handed over, the military power is also handed over, and the territory is also handed over. Wang Ji's expression was tense, but his breathing was a little short, and his eyes narrowed slightly. Well, it's not that the Yu kingdom has no soldiers, it's just that the number of soldiers is not large, and they are all used to defend the barbarians and maintain basic law and order. For the Qing kingdom in the north, it is almost undefended. Of course, fortification may not be useful, after all, the prime minister is court people. Thinking about it this way, my cheap dad showed a disarmed attitude when facing the court, and on the other hand, he had to strictly guard against foreigners. Well, it was mentioned in the posthumous edict that guarding the frontier was an important task entrusted by Emperor Zan, and it was also described with the solemn words, the foundation of the country. It seems that my cheap old man believes that guarding the frontier is one of the fundamental reasons for the imperial court to allow the Yu kingdom to continue to exist. While submitting to the imperial court to show that he was harmless, he also left certain countermeasures, such as the position arrangement of Sikong and Taiwei, and 9,000 elite soldiers were also retained under the pretext of guarding the border. Wang Ji thought for a while. He doesn't think that his cheap father is a soft-headed idiot. After all, he is also a prince who came out of troubled times, and his methods and strategies must be online. Through a posthumous edict, Wang Ji could see that the old Yu king left arrangements before his death, which created a delicate balance between the imperial court and the Yu kingdom. To put it simply, the Yu state has no rebellious heart, and most of the military power and position are handed over to the court. The state of Yu helped the imperial court guard the frontiers. If the imperial court wanted to withdraw from the state of Yu and send troops to attack and destroy the state, let alone the counterattack of the state of Yu, it was the problem of the invasion of the southern barbarians. Comparing the other 6 princes and kings with different surnames, the Yu kingdom is indeed not worthy of the court's great efforts. My cheap old man is going to retreat. Wang Ji understood in his heart, he was clear about the current situation of the Yu kingdom. Just 4 words, keep yourself safe. My cheap old man also emphasized that the common people are weary of war and yearn for peace. In this period, as long as I don't do anything outrageous, don't go against righteousness, don't go against the wishes of the people, the imperial court has no reason to recruit civilians and send troops to attack you. It's sort of arranged everything for me. Quote, after Wang Ji understood the edict, he suddenly realized that he, the king of Xinyu, didn't seem to need to do anything. Government affairs are handled by the prime minister sent by the imperial court. I can't touch them. In terms of military affairs, the Taiwei garrisoned in Miao County. There are only enough troops to guard the border. It's not easy for me to recruit troops. At most, I can learn about the movements of civil and military officials through Sikong. Not to blacken Chaotang's eyes, but it is limited to understanding and supervision, and nothing else can be done. My cheap daddy only left me one way, lie flat. Quote. Wong Ji gritted his teeth secretly. If he's just an ordinary son of a prince, and he can't be high or low, then he can lie flat and do what he likes, that's fine. Although the royal power is not in his hands, the king's wealth, Wong Ji, can be squandered at will. Beautiful women are like clouds, gold lovers are drunk life dreams, this is all right. Anyway, I don't need Wong Ji to manage things, just have fun. But Wong Ji thought of his stone monkey avatar again. The seed of gods and demons can gain longevity, the elves of heaven and earth have unparalleled talents. Extraordinary power. This is the fairy fate that Emperor Qian couldn't find with all the power of the whole country back then, and Wong Ji has this opportunity. In the great age of doom, stone-born spirit monkeys need luck to grow up, and the best way for me to improve luck is to become the king of you who pays equal attention to morality and power. Wong Ji frowned slightly. The eyes of Mingling opened secretly. He squinted his eyes, and glanced at Tai Chengqing who was leaning over in front of him. Officially living in Juqing, a wealthy family, Tai Chengqing's body luck is blue-purple, 30% purple, 70% blue, which is quite extraordinary. There are at least 8 people like this, plus Sangong, and other court officials. If I can use them all, my luck will increase, and the stone-born spirit monkey will be nourished even more. Wong Ji thought secretly, struggling between choices. But Tai Chengqing, who was bowing his head, suddenly throbbed, inexplicably feeling the coercion of the son Wong Ji in front of him. Tai Chengqing didn't know why, until a calm voice came from his ear. I have read the last edict of the late king, can Qing Taichang have any opinions? Tai Chengqing reacted and responded immediately. When you choose a good day and auspicious day, call all the officials, welcome the son, return to the king's capital, sacrifice to God, and inherit the great position. Tai Chengqing's answer was well behaved. Wong Ji nodded slightly and said, it should be so. Tai Chengqing arched his hands, and was about to continue talking about the arrangements, but heard the young master Wong Ji say. But is there anything special about auspicious days? I have also read Xingzi Tianwen, but I want to ask Tai Chengqing for advice on choosing a date. Tai Chengqing was slightly taken aback, a little confused. However, the corners of Wong Ji's mouth rose. He thought of a solution to the difficulty. Chapter 11. As a bodyguard, Yan Fei watched the exchange between the young master and Tai Chengqing. Everything seemed to be going well, and Tai Chengqing did not act negligently because of the son's youthful frivolity. His son was also reserved and stable in front of the ministers, and he didn't do anything weird. This made Yan Fei secretly relieved. The only thing that puzzled Yan Fei was that the young master insisted that on the 3rd day of the 7th month, all the officials would greet him and return to the palace. Although that day was also an auspicious day, Tai Chengqing said that the arrangement of affairs was a bit rushed, so it was not as good as the 7th day of July. But the young master insisted, saying that this day is very good, and that he would rather keep everything simple, and choose this day. Tai Chengqing had no choice but to follow the young master's wishes in the end. Tai Chengqing was ordered to go back to handle affairs. The 3rd day of July. From Shangyan County to the outskirts of Guisheng, the royal capital. Wong Ji is wearing a royal robe, with a crown and a belt, with 9 crowns, embroidered with silk, decorated with sun, moon, stars, flowers, birds, fish and insects, wearing a red ribbon, 4 colors of red, yellow and blue, 2 feet and 1 foot long, extremely luxurious, is the manifestation of the identity of the King of Yu. Yan Fei, as the driver, drives the black sedan chair, Zhu Liner's 4 horses ride in the car, and Wong Ji rides on the left side of the frame. In addition to king chariots, there are drum music chariots, golden chariots, and jin chariots. There were 56 cavalry officials, 13 pawns holding halberds, and 3 wabai holding bows. There are also 20 maidservants, holding water bowls and wicker sticks, sprinkling water along the way to prevent dust. A grand trip is the standard of princes and kings. Wong Ji sat on the frame and looked up at the sky. At this moment, the sun is shining and the wind is breezy. At first glance, it looks like a good weather for traveling. However, In addition to the bright sun, there are also thick clouds in the sky, occupying a small half of the sky. Looking at the leaden gray clouds, Wong Ji narrowed his eyes and secretly smiled. Move your gaze down, looking straight ahead. As the convoy entered the capital, the people along the way welcomed him and witnessed the son Wong Ji's return to the country. The drum car played, the cheers of the people and the sound of the drum gathered and blended together, which was very lively. My chief father was also a benevolent prince who governed the country and loved the people during his lifetime. Wong Ji recalled in his heart the old Yu king's reputation. Before the chaos in the world, Lao Yu King was the county magistrate of the previous dynasty, and he governed Shaanxi County today. The people under his rule are healthy and the banditry is eradicated, which is very popular among the people. Then the Qian dynasty collapsed and there were uprisings everywhere. The old Yu King was the first county magistrate to respond to the uprising. After the uprising, taking Shaanxi County as the base, recruiting soldiers, accepting refugees, expanding outward, and supporting him as a prince. When the land of the Central Plains was a dog's brain, because Yuedi was located in the remote south, wars rarely affected. The old Yu King has been developing steadily, farming and recruiting soldiers. When the people in the Central Plains were displaced due to the war, the people in Yuedi lived happily under the rule of Lao Yu King. Comparing the two, the old king of Yu won the hearts of the people of Yu. Although Wong Ji had just succeeded to the throne, the word of mouth accumulated by Lao Yu King has also continued to him. Luck, I see my luck is growing. Wong Ji's eyes burst into golden light, and he saw the blue and purple luck surrounding him, and it continued to grow stronger under the congratulations and welcome of the people along the way. Originally it was 70% blue and 30% purple luck, but under the gathering of people's wishes, the purple part gradually increased. By the time Wong Ji's bicycle frame reached the end of the city street, his luck had turned 90% purple to 10% green. The increase in luck is just the willingness of the people in the capital. Wong Ji secretly said. After walking through the market, we will enter the palace immediately. Painted vermilion, the 9-foot-high door slowly opened. The 3 princes are in the lead, the 9 ministers are in the second place, and the civil and military officials are in the left and right ranks. Wong Ji opened the eyes of the mingling, and at a glance, he saw 3 purple lucks, more than 10 purple lucks, and hundreds of blue lucks. It would be great if all this luck belonged to me. It should allow my luck to break through to the scarlet vermilion color and become the real luck of princes and kings. Wong Ji secretly sighed, but said helplessly in his heart. It's a pity that there is a disaster of the imperial court cutting down the vassal. It is impossible for me to centralize power now. In front of the civil and military officials, they can only watch and cannot move their luck, but when Wong Ji thinks of his own plan, there is no regret or entanglement in his heart. Your Majesty, please welcome Your Excellency. The Prime Minister held a jade plate, dressed in soap silk armor, blue and white silk clothes, purple ribbon, high crown, black hair and beautiful face, about 40 years old. He recited aloud, half bent over, and lowered his head, showing respect for the heir of the King of Yu. Wong Ji glanced lightly at the Prime Minister who was installed by the court in the Yu Kingdom. When the Eye of Mingling was activated, apart from seeing the Prime Minister's 100% purple luck, there was also the introverted martial arts cultivation of the other party. It's really not easy for Yi Jin's martial arts cultivation to be sent by the court. Wong Ji secretly said. The first speech was made by the officials, and the rest of the officials greeted Prince Wong Ji in unison. Wong Ji glanced at the sky. I don't know when, although the sun is still bright, half of the sky has been covered by thick clouds. The sky became quite strange, half of the sky was bright, and half of the sky was cloudy. Looking down, Wong Ji looked at the civil and military officials who were leaning over in front of him. He took a deep breath, puffed his chest, and said in a thick and solemn voice. Your Highnesses are free of courtesy. The officials raised their heads, and now Wong Ji could see the faces of the officials clearly. In addition to the more sympathetic Prime Minister, there are also the Taiwei and Sikong left behind by the old Yu King. Taiwei's face is vicissitudes, his temples are frosty and white, but his eyes are piercing, 9 feet tall, walking like a tiger, and his robe is bulging with muscles. Wong Ji glanced over and saw the cultivation level of Taiwei Martial Dao Grandmaster. Sikong is relatively young, in his early 30s, with white lips and red teeth, sword eyebrows and starry eyes, a jade tree facing the wind, very handsome, with bone training skills. He was observing Bagwan, and Bagwan was also secretly observing him. It's just that Wong Ji is wearing a crown at the moment, with 9 pins on the front panel, with sapphire as beads, 9 beads per pin. Covered by the jade beads, Wong Ji could see the officials clearly, but the officials could not see the whole picture of the young master. Only a few hundred officials who were close to each other, such as the Sangong and Juqing. If there are any or no officials, there seems to be a strange light in the pupils of the young master. What is that? Taiwei Jiao Rui felt something. As a master of martial arts, his perception was extremely keen, and he noticed a probing gaze cast from under the young master's crown. Jiao Rui narrowed his eyes slightly, and when he was about to explore, he saw nothing unusual. As a courtier, Jiao Rui shouldn't stare straight at his future king, that would be out of etiquette, so he can only hold back, feeling strange in his heart. Wong Ji also recognized all the civil and military officials in the court. Then the 3 princes took over and welcomed them into the palace, followed by all the officials. Back and forth, like a tide, carried Wong Ji into the palace of the King of Yu. Among all the people present, it seemed that Wong Ji was an outsider. Everything is strange to him, his frame can only be towed by hundreds of officials and guards of honor. Behind him, the gate of the palace was slowly closed, as if completely isolated from the outside world. All the officials were speechless, not knowing why they were thinking. Even the sound of drums and music stopped, only the sound of carts and horses neighing and armor colliding could be heard. Everything is quiet. Wong Ji seems to be isolated in his own car. But only 50 steps into the palace. Suddenly, Yan Fei, who was driving, suddenly felt a burst of coolness and moistness slapping his face. It's raining. Yan Fei was surprised. Immediately afterwards, all the princes and ministers present found that it started to rain. The rain is not heavy, but it is urgent and fast. Everyone raised their heads and found that it was the sunrise in the east and the rain in the west, and they were under the rain clouds in the west. The civil and military officials frowned secretly, feeling bad. If it is normal, they can find a place to shelter from the rain, but now is the time to welcome Wong Ji. If they dare to leave without authorization, this official career will come to an end. Wong Ji squinted his eyes when he got in the car, looking very relaxed. There was a cover on his car, so the rain couldn't get on him. He didn't speak, and tacitly asked the team to move on. This made those princes and ministers suffer. The unsmiling face was slapped by the rain, and the rain soaked into the eyes, so I could only squint, and the well-maintained beard was sticky. The luxurious official robes were soaked in rain, and their color was dull, sticking to the skin, like the slack skin of an old woman. The shoes are soaked in water, and walking is even more cumbersome and uncomfortable, and the calm and decent posture is no longer there. In the blink of an eye, Wong Ji saw that everyone was drowned. A sudden rainstorm caught all civil and military officials off guard, and they were quite embarrassed. Wong Ji pursed his lips, narrowed his eyes slightly but revealed a narrow smile. Wong Ji did it on purpose. He just took advantage of the sky to make all civil and military officials drench in the rain. However, Wong Ji also found that not everyone looked embarrassed in the rain. Moving his eyes to the left, there is Taiwei Jiao Rui. The rapid raindrops hit his body, as if hitting an invisible barrier. Not only did not break, the raindrops remained spherical, like soybeans, along the skin and clothes, and fell one by one on the floor tiles. And during this process, Taiwei Jiao Rui's hair, skin and clothes were not wetted by the raindrops. He seemed to be isolated from the rain, which was in stark contrast to other embarrassed officials. Drip water is not leaking. This is a symbol of the profundity of martial arts. Wong Ji was secretly amazed when he saw it, and he opened his eyes and glanced at Jiao Rui. Sure enough, under this pair of divine pupils, Wong Ji saw that Jiao Rui's internal and external parts were integrated, and the chaos was as one, and a stream of force gushed out from the dantian, forming a membrane on the surface of the body. The rain just hit this membrane, made of strength, and no rainwater could touch Jiao Rui's body. I once heard Yan Fei talk about martial arts, saying that martial arts practice as the mastery of force, from the outside to the inside, the strength of the 4 levels of light, darkness, transformation, and alchemy. What the master of martial arts masters is the alchemy, which integrates the inside and the outside. Holding the Dan and keeping the Yuan, the strength of the whole body can be concentrated in the dantian, and then the dantian is used as the core to deploy the strength to the whole body. Such a martial arts master. The dispersal of Dan Qi forms a defensive shield around the body, which is impervious to water on weekdays, but on the battlefield, it is like wearing iron armor and armor, with no weaknesses, invulnerable to swords and guns, and no fear of stray arrows and dark arrows, which can counter thousands of troops. Concentrated energy. The master of martial arts can burst out more than 60,000 catties of strength even if he spits, shakes his hair, and flicks his fingers. Today I can be regarded as seeing the miracle of the warrior who holds the alchemy. Quote. Wong Ji sighed in his heart, and thought of his stone-born spirit monkey avatar. Develop the avatar and enhance my talent. I also have the opportunity to become a Dan warrior, and even stronger. Zhao Rui in front of him is a goal that Wong Ji wants to achieve in the future. Then his eyes moved. Among all the civil and military officials, only Zhao Rui could rely on Dan Jin to avoid getting wet from the rain. No other official had this ability. Even the Prime Minister Zhang Yan, who is in the realm of Yi Jin, can only bite the bullet and get wet in the rain. Their embarrassment made Wong Ji quite satisfied, and the eyes of Mingling retracted. However, Taiwei Zhao Rui, who was walking in front, frowned slightly. It's that sharp gaze again, coming from the young master's car. It's not my illusion. It was the young master testing me before and just now. The martial arts master's perception is so keen. Zhao Rui felt Wang Ji's gaze again. What kind of method is that? The technique of witnessing. How can the young master master this method? Zhao Rui was confused. As a master of martial arts and a general who fought for the old Yu king, Zhao Rui was also well informed. When they met for the first time, Zhao Rui saw that the young master Wang Ji's martial arts cultivation was only at the level of physical training, and there was not much to praise on the surface, coupled with the reputation from the capital. Happy here, don't think about it, because Zhao Rui is well informed, and he has never heard such a thing. If his dog dared to say such things, Zhao Rui would definitely hang him up and whip him. Zhao Rui originally thought that the son Wang Ji had an arrogant and extravagant personality, and he was very worried about how to get along with him as a monarch and minister in the future. But today, after seeing those unusually sharp eyes one after another, this made the old general feel unusual. The sighting is like lightning. Could it be that the young master has supernatural powers? Zhao Rui muttered in his heart, squinted his eyes, and looked up at the sky. Today's weather is quite strange, half sunny and half rainy. All the officials were drenched in improper clothes and looked embarrassed. Only the son's car has a car cover to protect it from the rain. Zhao Rui squinted his eyes and observed from the corner of his eye. Although Wang Ji on the car was blocked by a crown and his face was not clear, Zhao Rui could still feel the young master's calm demeanor and graceful demeanor. Compare these two. At the right time. Well, wait for me to observe and observe. The Taiwei had a lot of mental activities, and the convoy and all the civil and military officials in the rainstorm finally came to the palace. Logically speaking, at this time, the officials should be displayed on the left and right sides of the royal road, so that the king would enter the palace and the officials should enter the palace again. But now that the rain is not stopping, the civil and military officials are like plucked chickens, standing on the left and right sides of the imperial road, not only lacking any dignity but appear cramped and awkward. They crazily slandered in their hearts that Tai Changqing, one of the 9 ministers, was the pickup date for this official election. If resentment could be turned into a knife, all civil and military officials would have poked Tai Changqing riddled with holes. However, Tai Changqing himself felt wrong. How did he know that such a strange rain would fall today, and this day was not what he originally planned to choose? Feeling the dark eyes of his colleagues, Tai Changqing groaned in his heart. In the end, the Prime Minister, who was finally the head of all officials, couldn't stand it anymore. With their current appearance, they went to the court, and the civil and military officials in the court were all ruined, so what's the point? Prime Minister Zhang Yan stamped his feet, turned around and walked towards the son's car. What's the matter with the Prime Minister? Wang Ji asked, pretending to be puzzled. Zhang Yan cupped his hands and said, My lord, there is a sudden bad wind and strange rain today. All the officials are not prepared, and they have been exposed to the rain and the wind. Such a posture is disrespectful. I suggest that the grand ceremony should be held on another day. Although wearing the king's clothes and riding the king's car, Wong Ji has not yet completed the succession ceremony, so he is still a son. He can be called a son or a prince. Prime Minister Zhang Yan lowered his head halfway. Although he looked embarrassed with wetness, his tone was calm and solemn, without arrogance or impetuosity. And his words are also the thoughts of civil and military officials. This weather is really not suitable for continuing the grand ceremony. However, in the car, under the crown, Wang Ji's voice raised a tune. Evil wind and strange rain. But my young master saw it. Uncle Feng sends congratulations, Master Rain cleanses the dust, auspicious birthday is coming. Zhang Yan was taken aback for a moment, wondering if he heard it wrong. Yan Fei, the driver and guard closest to Wang Ji, thought something was wrong after hearing this sentence. My lord is speaking strange things again. This is in front of all the officials of the Yu Kingdom. Sure enough, Yan Fei swept his eyes away, and all the civil and military officials who heard the words looked at each other with words stuck in their throats. Tai Wei raised his brows. He has excellent hearing, so he could clearly hear what the young master said. Can this evil wind and strange rain be called auspicious? The Tai Wei felt a little dumbfounded. After Wang Ji said this, he was also silent for a while. The shadow of the car cover cast on him, and the crown was covering him, so the officials couldn't see his expression clearly. Prime Minister Zhang Yan pursed his lips. He thought it was the young master Wang Ji who was childish and couldn't hold back his face. Zhang Yan thought to himself. After all, the son of Yu Wang is a wonderful person who can say, happy here, don't think about you. It's not surprising that he acts weirdly and speaks lies. He squinted his eyes, remembering the mission entrusted to him by Emperor Zan, to leave the emperor and ministers, to establish the emperor's prestige. Zhang Yan suddenly discovered that this was a good opportunity to establish the majesty of the court in front of the son Wang Ji and strengthen the control of the officials of the Yu Kingdom. Taking a deep breath, just as Zhang Yan was about to speak, Wang Ji suddenly raised his hand. The attention of all officials was instantly attracted. Don't you believe me? Wang Ji's tone was puzzled. Immediately afterwards, he got up from his seat, and after signaling Yan Fei to stop the carriage with his eyes, he got out of the carriage and put his feet on the ground. Without a car cover to keep out the rain, and without martial arts alchemy, it stands to reason that Wang Ji should be drenched in the rain. But amazingly, the moment Wang Ji got off the car, the rain stopped. The officials felt that the rain was no longer there, and they were relieved, and heard the son Wang Ji say. Everyone doesn't know, my son lived at the foot of Shenxi Mountain in Shangyan County a few days ago. At that time, an immortal entrusted me with a dream. Immortal, the officials looked dazed, not knowing why. Yan Fei was taken aback for a moment, remembering the boulder he saw in Shangyan County a few days ago. Everyone was puzzled. Wang Ji continued to speak. In the dream there was a golden threaded ape, wearing common clothes, holding a bamboo stick, and saluting others. The golden snub-nosed monkey uttered words, saying that he was a little fairy from Shenxi Mountain. Because he was worshipped by the people of Shangyan, he was able to turn the invisible into tangible, and entrusted me with dreams. As Wang Ji said, Prime Minister Zhang Yan finally came to his senses, frowned, and said solemnly, Young master, are you talking about ghosts and weird things? As the saying goes, you don't talk about strange powers and confusion. Wang Ji frowned, and said calmly, the Prime Minister's words are too arbitrary. Respect the heaven and the earth, fear ghosts and gods, the heaven and the earth are harmonious, seek good luck and avoid evil, make great changes popular, and the weather is smooth. What's more, what I'm going to say next is related to our people's livelihood. Quote. At the end, Wang Ji's tone suddenly became serious. Wang Ji is a materialist warrior. Before crossing, there were no gods, ghosts and monsters in his Blue Star hometown, so of course he was silent, strange, powerful and chaotic. But in this world, there are really traces of gods and demons and magical powers, so of course ghosts and gods must be respected. So, Wang Ji was not intimidated by Prime Minister Zhang Yan at all, and went back directly. What I will say next is related to the livelihood of the people of Vietnam. Wang Ji's voice was deafening, his eyes were fixed, and he did not give up. When the civil and military officials heard the words, their complexions changed slightly, and for a moment they wondered if the young master was uttering lies. Prime Minister Zhang Yan is also a man of the city. He didn't change his face, he just cupped his hands and said, Where is the news from the sun, and what can be related to the country? The corner of Wong Ji's mouth raised, and he said lightly, My lords, don't be in a hurry, just listen to my young master's story about the fairy entrusting a dream. Zhang Yan narrowed his eyes slightly, and couldn't figure out Wong Ji's way for a while, so he could only cup his hands and signaled himself to listen. Yan Fei was secretly nervous. On such a solemn occasion, he was afraid that his son would make a fool of himself. Wang Ji breathed slightly, and he also noticed that Tai Wei and Sikong were watching him. The Tai Wei is stable, his body is strong enough to keep him out of the rain, and he is tall, making him stand out from the crowd. In comparison, although Sikong was handsome, but like all officials, he was wet and embarrassed by the rain, so he looked ordinary. However, the two senior ministers appointed by the old Yu king were looking at their future king, and they all realized that this was the first time that the Xinyue king and the court had confronted each other. The two are quite looking forward to the performance of the young master Wang Ji. Wang Ji looked upright, raised his head and said, The fairy monkey was grateful for the people of Shangyan and offered incense and offerings, and also knew that the people of Yu state were able to obtain a piece of paradise because of the former king's literary and martial arts. The former king was the king of benevolence and virtue. Since the gods knew that I was the son of Yu, they entrusted me with dreams. Saying that I am the son of the king of Yu is beyond words. On the 3rd day of the 7th lunar month, 5 gods and gods will be invited to congratulate me. The first one is for Feng Bo to send congratulations, the second one is for the Master of Rain to cleanse the dust, the third one is for Zai to appreciate the light, the fourth one is for the Lord Yun to present auspiciousness, and the fifth one is for the God of Rainbow to weave colors. Let's see, gentlemen. Quote, Wang Ji raised his hand and pointed to the sky, and everyone looked along. The weird weather that was originally half cloudy and half sunny is no longer there. The wind and rain wash, and the world is fresh and cool. The sky is blue with blue as the base, the remnant clouds have no form, and there are thousands of changes, such as cloud tiger, cloud dragon, cloud phoenix, cloud rabbit, cloud lotus, cloud carp, cloud tower. There is a grandeur of the growth of all things. Even better is a great sun in the eastern sky. Sprinkle golden brilliance, gild the body, the clouds give birth to all things, and all things will rise to the sun. There are also neon bridges, colorful. It's as if the gate of the fairy court is opened, the clouds are steps to the sun and the earth, the sky is crimson, the sky is resplendent, the purple air is coming from the east, the hongqiao is everywhere, dragons and phoenixes are dancing, yao Chihua. This kind of beautiful scenery is rare, even if the officials are wet all over, they forget the discomfort in an instant. Even being shocked to the heart, Baiguan was suspicious for a moment. Could it be that there are really gods coming to congratulate you? Prime Minister Zhang Yan opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a word for a while. At this time, Wang Ji said leisurely, This scene should only exist in the sky. It is rare to see it in the world. It is auspicious from the sky. Wang Ji stood with his hands behind his back and walked a few steps forward, the corners of his clothes fluttered in the breeze. In the eyes of the officials, Wang Ji's figure coincided with the sun, as if it was shining brightly, making it hard to look directly at. Yan Fei squinted his eyes, only to feel that the young master is so radiant and mighty at this moment. My lords, is this scene beautiful? Wang Ji's voice came, and all civil and military officials returned to reality. Looking around, looking at each other, saying that the scenery is bad, either there is a problem with the aesthetics, or it is going to be against the young master. But in order to see this beautiful scenery, all civil and military officials were soaked by the rain, which seemed not worth it. I really don't know what to say, and finally all the officials looked at the Prime Minister. You are the head of the officials. However, at this time it was Tai Wei Jiao Rui, with a voice like Hong Zhang said. It is indeed auspicious. The former king ruled the country and the people, and the son was benevolent and filial to Tianji, so there was auspiciousness from heaven to show the merits of the king of Yu. He stood up among the officials, with a smile on his vicissitudes of life. Jiao Rui is the veteran of the Yu kingdom, the former king of the humorous, with military power in his hands, and his prestige is extremely strong. The corners of Wang Ji's mouth rose upon hearing this, and he said secretly, It's not in vain that I just teased this old guy a few times with the eyes of the mingling. But although the Tai Wei agreed, the officials still had to look at the Prime Minister's face, and hesitated for a while. Prime Minister Zhang Yan narrowed his eyes slightly, noticing that Sikong Han Deng seemed to have a tendency to speak. Prime Minister Zhang Yan understood what he should say. It is impossible to call a deer a horse, took a breath, he cupped his hands and said, quote, "It's really auspicious." The Prime Minister opened his mouth, and all the officials had no worries. They smiled happily and whispered to each other, praising the auspiciousness of God and the blessing of you. Even if it rained for a while, it was a good rain. Uncle Feng sent congratulations, and the Master of Rain washed away the dust. Things are going well. Yan Fei heaves a sigh of relief, secretly thinking that his young master is really quick-witted, and he needs God's help to quell the resentment of all the officials. However, at this time, Zhang Yan changed his words. Instead of mentioning auspiciousness, he asked. At the beginning, the Sun said that the ministers are eager for important matters related to the foundation of the country, and you need to be informed by the Sun. Wong Ji, who was facing the Sun and turned his back on the officials, also turned around when he heard the words. Indeed, I have something important to tell you. Wong Ji looked stern, without any hint of anger. Zhang Yan cupped his hands, indicating to listen. Taiwei Zhao Rui was curious. In this contest between the king of Xinhui and the imperial court, Zhao Rui had already seen the ability of Prince Wong Ji to adapt to changes. Young Master Wong Ji has a bit of a heart, not as absurd and funny as the rumors. Zhao Rui thought in his heart, curious what card Wong Ji will play next. As for Sikong Han Deng, his eyes flickered, and he glanced at Prime Minister Zhang Yan, looking forward to what the young master would say next. I saw Wong Ji paused, and then said, "The golden monkey immortal, one day celebrates, and the other day eliminates disasters. Disasters are about to befall our people of you." As soon as these words came out, all the officials were shocked. Yan Fei's heart that had just been let go suddenly lifted up again. Even Taiwei Zhao Rui frowned slightly. This cannot be said nonsense. Zhao Rui couldn't figure out what the young master was thinking for a while. Sure enough, Zhang Yan smelled fishy like a shark, and asked immediately. What a disaster! All the officials also showed embarrassment. If you want to say that there is a dream from a god, it is just auspiciousness from heaven. Everyone is asking for a lottery, and they don't care about ghosts and ghosts. It's serious. What is the basis? Where did the disaster come from? It is related to the foundation of the country, you have no joke. Yan Fei felt that the atmosphere was not right, and he was secretly anxious, but a martial artist was helpless in this situation. In the face of everyone's doubts, Wong Ji remained calm and articulate, saying word by word. The evil dragon's resentment, causing the wind and rain, from the 10th to the 12th of the 7th month, 3 counties of Shangyan, Shaanxi, and southern Hunan will experience heavy rain for 2 days and 2 nights. The heavy rain will destroy the fields, the grain and rice will fall, and the bad water will flow across. Land tax and farm income are related to the foundation of the country. This is an important matter. Quote. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the officials changed drastically. Farmers, a major event in the country, whether they are the common people in the fields or the landlords and squires, count on the harvest of the fields in their hands most throughout the year. The operation of the country is also inseparable from the land tax, and the stability of the country is also based on the establishment of the people's full food. The worst thing to joke about is the harvest. Even Prime Minister Zhang Yan was dumbfounded, let alone Taiwei Zhao Rui. Yan Fei felt that his eyes were dark, and he had a sense of sight when he heard, "Happy here, don't think about it, in Kyoto half a year ago." It's really shocking and endless. Young master, as a ruler, as the lord of the country, don't talk nonsense when discussing state affairs. Sikong Han Deng no longer held back, stepped forward and said hastily. All the officials behind him also looked unkind, and Prime Minister Zhang Yan didn't speak when he saw this, but just watched how the son Wong Ji would end up with cold eyes. It's really digging a hole and jumping in. However, Wong Ji stood with his hands behind his back, facing Gongqing directly, without retreating at all. All civil and military officials also looked directly at Wong Ji, and hundreds of eyes pierced him directly, with a menacing aura. Comparing the two, Wong Ji is alone, and his aura is too weak. No one can help him in this situation. Even if Yan Fei is already anxious like ants on a hot pot, he can only be anxious. But suddenly, Wong Ji's eyes widened, and two golden lights burst out from under the crown. At this moment, his figure coincided with the sun, and the light behind him was shining brightly, while his face was covered with a layer of shadow. The divine pupils bloomed with golden light but overlapped with the sunlight, and the golden light merged, making it difficult to tell whether it was the sunlight or the pupil light for a while. The people looked at by the divine pupils felt as if a sharp sword had pierced into their vitals, and they all felt terrified. All the officials only felt that the person in front of him was dressed in gold on the holidays, with awe-inspiring dignity, absolutely extraordinary. Only Taiwei Jiao Rui, who has the highest level of martial arts cultivation, has a keen sense and can immediately distinguish between the sun and the eyes. But at this moment, he was also intimidated by the light in his eyes, and he said in surprise, "Witnessing, this is an extremely advanced technique of witnessing." Frightened by the golden light, all officials are terrified. At this time, Wong Ji said loudly, "Farmers are the foundation of the world, and the foundation of the king's government. I would rather believe in what I have than in what I don't have. I can't be negligent. My son's succession to the throne can be delayed, but farming can't be delayed. If the ministers still want to argue with each other, then let me go to the fields to discuss the Tao with my son." Quote. A golden light flashed in Wang Ji's eyes, and he quickly retracted, not giving the ministers and officials a chance to investigate. As for the king, it is to maintain a sense of mystery and make people unpredictable. At this time, the civil and military officials are also panicked and confused. Go to the fields to discuss the Tao. This. The originally tense atmosphere suddenly became strangely quiet. Not to mention the divine light deterrence before, but what Wang Ji said made the Prime Minister Zhang Yan, who had read the scriptures, served the Emperor Zan, and made many conspiracies and meritorious deeds be punished at this moment. What is this number? It's not recorded in the book, and I haven't experienced it before. Zhang Yan doesn't quite understand what the young master Wang Ji means. This made Zhang Yan feel wrong. It seemed that the succession ceremony of King Yu was out of his control from the moment it rained. Not to mention the Prime Minister Zhang Yan, even Taiwei Jiao Rui couldn't understand Wang Ji's way. He admitted that Wang Ji has the majesty of a king, but what he said is puzzling. Could this be the legacy of the late king? Young Master Wang Ji's preface and subsequent words are too grotesque. Because of a dream, he asked civil and military officials to accompany him to the fields to prevent the unnecessary rainstorm and waterlogging. Either he thinks that Wang Ji is a deviant lunatic, or he was arranged by Lao Yuwang before his death, otherwise Jiao Rui really can't think of an explanation. But the young master is not like an idiot. Just now, the majesty of the witness, the electricity in the eyes, is absolutely extraordinary. Could it be that there is something mysterious that I didn't see? Jiao Rui murmured in his heart, intending to see how the situation develops. The atmosphere was also quite weird. If it wasn't for Wang Ji's noble status, the officials present would probably look at him like a fool. However, Wang Ji didn't notice it. He glanced at Sikong Han Dang. At this time, you need a wink. Han Dang was shocked immediately, and reacted. The young master's words have a deep meaning, and the servants don't quite understand. Wang Ji snorted softly and said, "My son means that farming is the most important thing. I am afraid that disasters will spoil this year's harvest, so I want to go to the fields and repair some facilities. Isn't it good for all the ministers to continue to hold the succession ceremony after soaking in the rain? Well, the grand ceremony will be postponed, and the grand ceremony will be held after the first batch of rice this year is harvested." Quote. Wang Ji's tone was calm. If he said it so bluntly, Sangong Juqing could be considered to have figured out the clue. I said so much before, dreams, gods, disasters, this is what feelings mean. Baiguan pursed his lips, heaved a sigh of relief, and was a little bit ironic. They understood that the king of Xinyue was playing tricks. Look at the young master Wang Ji's pale face. He is only 16 years old, and the youngest official present is 30 years old. This age difference is enough to be Wang Ji's uncle. It turned out to be a child with a yellow mouth, frivolous, I don't know what to say. On the surface, he remained respectful, but in his heart, the officials had already labeled Wang Ji. That is to say, this group of officials is a bit of a city man, and their emotions and anger are not displayed, otherwise they would have flung their sleeves and walked away. Prime Minister Zhang Yan sensed the dissatisfaction among the officials, pursed his lips, and said in a deep voice, "My lord has this intention, and all the ministers know about it. Concerning agriculture and mulberry is a good deed, and the monarchs, ministers, gentry and people are all of one mind. Chengtung's ascension to the throne is a state affair, and you can pay Yusi to choose another day for the grand ceremony. But I have a word of advice. The young master is the lord of the country, and he speaks a lot of money, and speaks loudly. When discussing state affairs and people's livelihood in the future, don't use ghosts and gods to confuse people's hearts." Quote. At the end of Zhang Yan's speech, it was obvious that he was preaching to Wong Ji. Everyone present could hear the meaning, but Wong Ji waved his hand and said, "If you are ignorant of the way of understanding, if you are retreating from the way of advancement, but do good deeds, don't worry about what you say. We are all educated people, so we can hear the meaning of these words," but the officials thought it was the young master Wong Ji who wanted to save face, and just insisted. Zhang Yan frowned, wanting to debate with his son Wong Ji the principles of, if you don't have faith, you can't establish virtue, and govern the country with sincerity and not with falsehood. He is well educated and has read the 6 classics thoroughly. Isn't it just to refute it by citing the scriptures and allusions at the time, so as to break the majesty of the son of the Yu kingdom? Zhang Yan has this impulse, but he is a man of the city after all. It is too late, the future will be long, and considering that the civil and military officials are all drowned now, they should not have much mood to watch their monarchs and ministers debate. With a clear mind and no leaks, Zhang Yan cupped his hands and only said, "The grand ceremony is suspended. Please take a rest early, young master." The Prime Minister's words set the tone for the succession ceremony, which was halfway through. The civil and military officials felt depressed, and felt that they were anticlimactic and full of chicken feathers. But Wong Ji didn't care too much, so he recruited the palace guards to inquire about the road to the palace and where should he live. Many people are a little sleepless tonight, especially the Sangong of Yu. Emperor Zan is too happy to think about it. Talking about ghosts and gods in front of all the officials, the orphan of the former king, is really disturbing. Taiwei Jiao Rui sighed in his heart. He really can't see through young master Wong Ji. With the experience of a martial arts master, young master Wong Ji's extremely rare, witness skills, are highly evaluated in Jiao Rui's heart. One person asks the minister, one glance frightens the ministers, and there is a vision. He should be the best among people. Jiao Rui shook his head and decided to take another look. Prime Minister Zhang Yan is also reminiscing about today's conversation. The theory of ghosts and gods is not worthy of praise, but young master Wong Ji has supernatural powers, which seem to be relied upon. But after all, he is still a brat, so we have to take a closer look at the truth, what kind of tricks this young master you can have. Quote. Backed by the Dakshuan court, the central government is strong, and there is the support of Emperor Zan. This is Zhang Yan's confidence to dare to seize power and commit crimes. As for the youngest Sikong Han Dang, he paced in the courtyard, sighed with worry, and finally kowtowed in the direction of the royal tomb. Help the young master in the poor and weak, and live up to the kindness of the former king. The 3 men have their own ideas, and the officials below are also full of thoughts. Some of them are loyal to the king of Yu, some stick to a neutral and wait-and-see attitude, and some have yearning for Dakshuan, and their ideas are different. I don't know if the power transfer of the king of Yu will pass smoothly. Until the next day, the 3 officials and hundreds of officials received new news one after another. Master, did you really take people to dig ditches in the field to prevent flooding? Prince Wong Ji returned to Yu Kingdom from Dakshuan capital, accompanied by hundreds of skilled craftsmen. Wong Ji doesn't have much foundation in the Yu Kingdom, especially when the succession ceremony is interrupted. He is not the real Yu King, and the resources he can mobilize are very limited. But during the long journey, Wong Ji did not lack courtesy and kindness to this group of craftsmen. The craftsmen had long wanted to find an opportunity to serve him. Wong Ji can easily call these craftsmen to work. Counting the families of these craftsmen, there are thousands of people under his command. For carpentry, iron smelting, farming and various production technologies related to people's livelihood, Wong Ji can ask these professional and technical personnel. Professionals do professional things. Wong Ji will soon be able to figure out how to protect the crops in the field when the heavy rain falls. Yes, Wong Ji wasn't talking nonsense at the succession ceremony. He really saw through the eyes of the mingling that a heavy rainstorm was going to happen in the next few days. People depend on food, and food is based on agriculture. But this kind of field work depends on whether the weather will be smooth or not. A rainstorm without warning may ruin the farmer's hard work for half a year. There is no harvest, and farmers can only live a tight life, and even poorer tenant farmers will do more extreme things. The land tax will drop sharply, the country will also be in turmoil, and there will be problems in operation. In short, a torrential rain spread widely. When Wong Ji saw the rainstorm, he also saw an opportunity. Hey, the court officials are not easy to control, so I don't care about the luck on them for the time being, I will go directly to the source of the luck. Luck is condensed by willingness, and what people want is luck. Those imperial officials, famous families, because they can be recognized by the people, they have luck cohesion. So Wong Ji directly grasped the essential problem: the bureaucracy is just a symbol of luck, the foundation is still the people of you. The core of Wong Ji's plan is to skip these middlemen first. According to my understanding, my chief father was the county magistrate of this Shanghu area before he became a vassal. He enjoyed a high reputation and won the hearts of the people. Wong Ji thought clearly. The foundation of his own strength lies in the avatar of the stone-born monkey. Not only is the stone-born monkey itself a species of god and demon with immeasurable potential, it is also the heteromorphic freedom method of the stone board, which shares the effect of the avatar's talent, and also endows Wang Geshen the pupil, eye of mingling, and powerful cultivation talent. Being able to nourish avatars requires special willpower, and Wong Ji also needs some resources to practice martial arts by himself. Where can this will and resources come from? Of course it is Vietnam. During the succession ceremony, Wong Ji intentionally did something to achieve two goals. 1. Using the theory of ghosts and gods as an excuse, go to the fields to eliminate disasters and fight floods, and harvest the will of the people. 2. Establish a firm foothold in the Yu Kingdom and demonstrate authority so that in the future, you can mobilize the materials and manpower of the Yu Kingdom to help you practice martial arts. The first goal is what Wong Ji is doing, but the second goal is a bit troublesome. Because the imperial court cut down the vassal, the power of prime minister of Yu state has been occupied by the imperial court. Although Wong Ji's chief father Lao Yu Wang handed over the position of prime minister, but it is also a problem that Wong Ji has to face now. The prime minister can't move, and if he moves, the court will be suspicious, and there will be military disasters. Fortunately, Lao Yu Wang was not a cowardly and incompetent person. He still retained the military power and prosecutorial power, and entrusted them to Zhao Rui and Han Dang. If Wong Ji, the new king of Yu, wants to gain a firm foothold in the Yu kingdom, he must show the majesty of the king in front of the officials represented by the prime minister, so that these people can't be too presumptuous, and he must win over the Taiwei and Sikong. Although the old Yu king had made arrangements in his will, the saying, "people take tea to cool down," made sense, and Wong Ji couldn't bet that he could command these two people just by relying on the legacy of the old Yu king. The Taiwei is an old general, he is a person of high morals and respect, and he has the cultivation base of a martial arts master, so he must have arrogance. Although Sikong is a young man, it is not an easy person to be ranked among the top 3. Wong Ji had to come up with some means and show his capital, so that the two of them could be convinced to stand by his side. And the capital that Wong Ji is going to seek is people's hearts. The people trust him as the king of Xinyue, so Wong Ji has the capital to unite the Taiwei and Sikong to his side. He wouldn't mindlessly believe in the tricks left by his chief father, there are some things he has to fight for by himself. Ningxin, Taiwei, Sikong. With these 3 cornerstones, Wong Ji has the confidence to control the country of Yu and create a relatively stable and affluent development environment for himself when the prime minister is occupied by the imperial court. If Wong Ji becomes a master of martial arts, and the stone-born spirit monkey hatches and has enough strength, then he will take back the power of the prime minister at that time, without being hindered by others, there will be a greater success rate. As for how Wong Ji came up with such a plan, it can only be said that he was placed under house arrest as a hostage since he was a child, with the risk of beheading his head, and his life was trembling. Since then, Wong Ji has been racking his brains to think about his future. It's a pity that I was just an ordinary person before I crossed over. In order to survive and pursue greater pursuits, I was forced to stimulate my potential. It is true that the prisoner is enlightened. Wong Ji felt emotional. At this moment, he directed the craftsmen and fellow villagers to dig ditches for the rice fields. If there is continuous heavy rain and the rainwater is silted up, the rice will be soaked for a long time, and the yield will decrease, or even die. In addition to timely drainage, earthwork must also be prepared. After heavy rains, soil erosion is severe, and it is necessary to fill the soil. As the heir of the King of Yu, Wong Ji can ask the people in the fields of the 3 counties that will be affected by the disaster to cooperate. The big officials in the court can't command, but the local village officials don't want to offend the King of Yu. They just arrange people to cooperate with the canal repair and do their duty. Just like Wong Ji's plan, there is not much resistance for him to do these things. As for the news transmission, although there is no electronic communication in this world, there are warriors who can travel thousands of miles a day with their arms and feet. It takes 7 days to spread the news from the county to the village. People were working in the fields, while Wong Ji watched from the sidelines, glancing at the sky from time to time. Ahem, it's not that he, as a great leader, doesn't want to share weal and woe with the people, it's really that he can't do it well with the outfit he wears. Wong Ji is still wearing an extremely luxurious dress now. This is not for him to show off his wealth, but as the saying goes, a man depends on clothes, and a Buddha depends on gold clothes. In this world where information dissemination methods are extremely backward, Wong Ji is rich and noble without wearing clothes. How can the people in the fields know is he the heir to King Yu? The common people don't recognize the face, but they can recognize this luxurious dress. Not only the common people, but also the most basic township officials and the pavilion chief also recognized King Yu's clothes. Coupled with the prestige left by the old Yu king, relying on this suit, Wong Ji communicated with the basic officials and people as the heir of the Yu king. Also because the dress was too expensive and inconvenient, Wong Ji really couldn't go into the field, but the people he brought were all skilled craftsmen, who were proficient in digging canals, moving soil and stacking materials, and there was no room for Wong Ji to intervene. He was able to deal with the people by the field very smoothly, and he could chat a few words in his spare time. Although the common people were flattered, they were able to chat with Wong Ji. After Wong Ji got to know him a little bit, he found out that his cheap father, Lao Yu King, also often went to the fields to inspect crops, build water conservancy, and fight disasters during his lifetime. The common people are no strangers to the fact that such dignitaries as the King of Yu will come to the fields. Especially an old man with dark skin, short brown and knotted, said that decades ago, stragglers from other places came to the county to rob and harass the people. At the same time, in addition to craftsmen and guards, there were also several local village officials. Regardless of how much Wong Ji respected civil and military officials at the succession ceremony, he even made concessions. But the village official didn't dare to neglect him, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that his attitude was respectful. Seeing that the son was interested in talking, several senior officials also recalled some deeds of the old Yu king and shared them. Wong Ji was also amazed when he heard the words, not only knowing the great achievements of Lao Yu Wang during his lifetime, but also complaining that his father could send himself to be a proton for 7 years. At the end of the chat, the old man saw that Wong Ji's eyebrows and words and deeds were 70% similar to the old Yu king. Without tears in his eyes, he sighed that the Yu king would continue, and the country of Yu would be safe. When the officials heard the words, they also flattered one after another, saying that Wong Ji had the legacy of the old Yu king. The touted Wong Ji didn't feel too embarrassed, because he really felt that his luck was increasing, 90% purple, 1% blue, and the last bit of blue was gradually changing. By the afternoon of the 9th day of July, Wong Ji's luck had completely transformed into pure purple. I can feel that the clone that feeds on the power of wishes, its embryo is more active, and has a tendency to continue to develop. Wong Ji understood. His stone fetus spirit monkey avatar is quite extraordinary, but it is in an embryonic state, and the cyan luck can only stabilize the life posture to prevent it from dying out, and the stone fetus is still in a half-dead state. Until the pure purple luck, the stone fetus has signs of continued growth and development. It seems that if the stone fetus really wants to come back to life, or even break out of the shell, I still need to have Chiju luck, and I want to further improve the luck. Wong Ji narrowed his eyes and looked up at the sky. At this moment, even if there is no eye of mingling, the naked eyes of ordinary people can see the funnel-shaped clouds in the sky, and the thunder gradually rises in the distance. Hot weather, shortness of breath. The yellow dog in the village sticks out its tongue, and the ants on the ground start to move. My lord, it's really going to rain, let's avoid it. The guard Yan Fei said. Wong Ji nodded slightly. At the same time, the 3 princes and 9 ministers of the Yu Kingdom are also looking at this sky. Is it really going to rain heavily? Tai Wei Jiao Rui frowned. Sikong Han Dang clenched his fists. It's actually raining heavily. The Prime Minister, Zhang Yan, seemed unbelievable. It won't really rain heavily, will it? In the attention of many people, a thunderbolt flashed in the sky like a writhing dragon. Immediately afterwards, as if the dam of the Tianhe River had been dug, there was a burst of thunder. It's pouring rain, it's pouring down. It's raining. A heavy rain not only hit the fields of Yu State, but also hit the court hall of Yu State. It's really like what you said, the country of Yu is going to be flooded. All civil and military officials were in a state of turmoil, thinking of what Prince Wong Ji said at the succession ceremony a few days ago, that evil dragons bring about disasters and bring disaster to the country and the people. I thought this was a trick of the brat, but I didn't expect it to be true. Oops, my field. Civil and military officials suddenly reacted. He is an official in the court, and their family is also a local tyrant clan, with thousands of acres of land. This heavy rain will not distinguish between civilians and dignitaries, and the places that should be flooded must also be flooded. The torrential rain poured down, and the officials at home hurriedly called the servants to inquire about the losses in the fields. However, the torrential rain was fierce and urgent, and the raindrops hit people's faces like bullets, and there was a strong wind howling, the trees swayed, the branches were bent, and they were about to be broken by the strong wind. With this level of heavy rain, people can't even stand firmly, and they can't see the road clearly, so how can they travel? The officials are in a hurry, and Prime Minister Zhang Yan is also feeling anxious. What's the matter with Tai Shilling? Didn't it report the recent mild wind and light rain? How could there be such a heavy rain? Tai Shilling is an official who handles astronomy, formulates calendars, and compiles history books, and is subordinate to Tai Changqing. Zhang Yan acted prudently, even though he verbally refuted and criticized young master Wang Ji's theory of ghosts and gods, but just to be on the safe side, he still consulted Tai Shilling and asked if there was a catastrophic rainstorm in the past few days. The reply is, when it comes to the beginning of autumn, the yang harvests and the yin grows, the autumn rain drenches, and gold is everywhere. There will be rain, but the rain should not be heavy, which is good for agricultural production. Professionals pointed out that Zhang Yan was relieved, and just waited for the past few days to see the embarrassment of the young master Wang Ji. However, the situation first slapped him in the face. Why did the rainstorm suddenly come? Zhang Yan's face was gloomy, that is to say, it is inconvenient to go out due to the heavy rain, otherwise he really wanted to find Tai Shilling out, poke the other person's forehead and asked him, is it raining too much? Of course, Tai Shilling, who was at home at the moment, was also aggrieved and panicked. He also only calculated the weather according to the solar terms, and he did things according to the calendar of his ancestors. Who knew that something went wrong this time? In fact, it's not to blame for Tai Shilling's mistakes, the weather is as unpredictable as the woman's face. Even Wang Ji Langsing's hometown, with the high technology of weather satellites, sometimes cannot accurately predict weather changes. It can only be said that the unfathomable power of nature is not something that ordinary people can easily figure out. But Wang Ji has bright eyes. Stone womb spirit monkeys are spirits of heaven and earth, just like parents doting on their own children. It is easy for me to spy on changes in the weather. Wang Ji stood in the pavilion, raised his chin slightly, and looked towards the dark sky. He narrowed his eyes slightly, a circle of light appeared in his dark eyes, and a golden light burst out from his pupils. Let me announce that after 2/4 of an hour, the heavy rain will turn to light rain. You can go out and go to the fields, and let the craftsmen and farmers go to the fields to help the rice and consolidate the soil. The entourage was ordered to spread the news impatiently. Wang Ji nodded slightly. Yan Fei, who had been guarding him all the time, finally couldn't help but speak. My lord, how do you know the changes in the sky? From the interruption of the succession ceremony to the dissatisfaction of the officials, to the moment when the torrential rain is pouring for rescue and disaster relief, Yan Fei's mood can be said to be ups and downs like a roller coaster. He marveled at the turn of events and the realization of the young master's prophecy, but he was also very puzzled. Is this something human can do? It can't really be a dream from ghosts and gods, right? Wong Ji raised his mouth slightly, closed his eyes and smiled. Accumulate good deeds and become virtuous, and the gods are content. As long as you care about the people, God will give you the enlightenment to avoid disasters. As soon as these words came out, Yan Fei was confused. Do ghosts and gods really exist? Not knowing why, he could only feel awe in his heart. Yan Fei looked at the profile of his young master, and praised. The auspicious person is the family of heaven, the son is a person with profound blessings. Wong Ji smiled without saying a word. During the conversation, Wang Ji's weather forecast had already spread. The people had a direction, felt at ease, and geared up for it. When the rain subsided as scheduled, it poured into the fields like a tide. The officials trapped at home can be considered to be able to go out by car, go to the Prime Minister's mansion to discuss matters, and receive news from various villages and counties. This kind of heavy rain is rare in 10 years. What's the situation in the fields? How much rice will be lost if the rice fields are flooded? Young master's words are true, there is a disaster that will ruin the harvest of the Yu Kingdom this year. Could it be possible that there are ghosts and gods dreaming of dreams, and evil dragons causing disasters? What did the grand historian do? Such a major disaster failed to give early warning. HMPH, I must refer to him. All the officials talked to each other, appearing to be chattering. Finally, it was the Prime Minister Zhang Yan who appeared, and all the officials stopped their voices and looked at Zhang Yan. A few days ago, what you said, Mr. Prime Minister, what the young master said, were all talking about ghosts and gods, and making lies. It's good now, how do you think it will end? Zhang Yan also felt these fiery gazes. But as an official, can you not have a thick skin? With a straight face, he changed the focus of the topic, and said in a stern voice. There is a flood today, and the harvest may be damaged. Emergency rescue and disaster relief should be the top priority. Stabilizing the harvest should be the top priority. You should perform your duties, issue government orders, mobilize the people, and quickly rescue the disaster. If there is any doubt, you will be severely punished. What Zhang Yan said really made Baiguan stop thinking about the ghosts and gods, and the most important thing is to rescue the disaster and grab the food. The officials came to the Prime Minister's mansion in a hurry, and left in a hurry after receiving the order. However, after they took action, they realized that they didn't seem to need to do anything. What? The young master has brought people to arrange everything. The Lishan, in each village, that is, the rural agricultural officials, replied to the news to inform their superiors that they had organized the disaster relief work in an orderly and comprehensive manner under the command of the sun. This made those high officials who couldn't wait to be stunned. He left from the Prime Minister's mansion half an hour ago, and returned to the Prime Minister's mansion half an hour later. Prime Minister Zhang Yan also had mixed feelings after receiving the news from the bottom. An official with a complex expression asked tentatively. Prime Minister, there are already young masters organizing work in the field, so let's. Zhang Yan was tongue-tied and searched his brains, but couldn't find a suitable word. Wang Ji has already led people to finish the work, so why do they need bureaucrats? Thinking of the son Wang Ji's previous actions, combined with his current situation, Prime Minister Zhang Yan reacted. I have been tricked. If you don't investigate for a while, you will be turned into an army. Zhang Yan was in a state of uncertainty. Looking at the bewildered officials in the hall, Zhang Yan said helplessly. Let's arrange everything according to the young master's arrangement. Don't add superfluous things to the snake. The harvest is the most important thing in everything. When the officials heard the words, although they didn't say anything on the surface, they took orders and left. In fact, in the bottom of my heart, Zhang Yan has already been sentenced to lose in the first round of the contest between King Xinue and the Prime Minister. The son is extraordinary, and he should not be taken lightly because of his youth. This is the consensus reached by all the officials. Although the process is unimaginable, the result is indisputable fact. Zhang Yan was also depressed. Next, He spent 3 days and 3 nights thinking about how the young master Wong Ji could predict weather changes, not because Zhang Yan figured it out, but because the rain stopped. The rain stopped, the disaster stopped, and the loss in the field was not too much. The people all saw the practical ability of the young master Wong Ji. The common people in the fields are still very simple, don't care about ghosts and gods, as long as whoever can lead them to plant the fields well, keep the harvest in drought and flood, and live their lives, they will believe in whoever. The king of Yu has a successor, and the king of Yu is benevolent. At this moment, both the Taiwei and Sikong saw what the people wanted, and were surprised by Wang Ji's methods. Common sense, Wang Ji, a lone monarch with no foundation in the court, would be very difficult to fight against Prime Minister Zhang Yan by himself. Originally, Taiwei and Sikong thought they needed their own help, but now it seems that Wang Ji can make Zhang Yan suffer a lot by relying on his own means. The new king of Yu is not a weak and bully person, which makes both Zhao Rui and Han Dang have great expectations for Wang Ji. Although the two couldn't understand how Wang Ji predicted the rainstorm, after much deliberation, it can only be summarized as, "It's like God's help." And Wang Ji also watched his luck turn from pure purple to vermilion, and he knew that his hard work these days had paid off. What the people want, the stars are holding the moon, and the opportunity to succeed to the throne has arrived. July 17. On a day of good harvest, when the people obeyed and all the officials worshipped, Wang Ji started the succession ceremony and wanted to become the king of Yu. The succession process is relatively cumbersome. Wang Ji needs to be well behaved and follow the etiquette to complete the sacrifice to the heaven and earth and the clan. It is worth mentioning here that when setting the date, Tai Chengqing, who was in charge of etiquette, repeatedly asked Wang Ji for advice. What was the weather like on the day of the succession? Won't there be an auspicious situation where all the civil and military officials are drenched in the rain? It was also Wang Ji who repeatedly assured that the weather would be normal on the day of succession, saying that the king was not joking, so Tai Chengqing was relieved and prepared related matters. It can be seen that the officials of the imperial court believed Wang Ji's method of predicting celestial phenomena with the theory of ghosts and gods, half or 6 points in their hearts. After all, the facts were in front of them. Even if Wang Ji said, "Snow in July," they had to seriously think about whether it would really snow in a hot day. The prestige established by Wang Ji in front of all the officials can be seen. Privately, all civil and military officials believed that the king of Xinyue really possessed unfathomable means. When he moved into the palace and took the throne, Wang Ji declared solemnly and calmly. The former king collapsed suddenly and returned to the 5 elements. He carried out the last king's will alone. It belongs to the order of ethics and enters Fengzong. As soon as these words came out, all the court officials respectfully bowed their heads to congratulate King Xinyue. Sitting on the throne, wearing a graceful and luxurious Wang Ji, one can feel that from the common people to the officials, their confidence in the king of Xinyue has gathered more luck. The eyes of Mingling opened, and Wang Ji saw the luck around him, from 10% red to 90% purple, and began to upgrade. The proportion of vermilion is increasing, until the succession ceremony is completed. His luck is like a bright red sun surrounded by lavender aura. 90% red, 10% purple, my luck has greatly improved. His face didn't change, but under the robe, he clenched his fists excitedly. This is a significant improvement. As for the last 10% purple, Wang Ji guessed, probably because the prime minister is not in his hands, and his influence on the people of Yu Kingdom still needs to be improved. The prime minister's power cannot be recovered within a few years, but there is still a lot of room for improvement in people's livelihood and people's hearts. After all, I only predicted a rainstorm disaster, and the people in the fields have to grow food every year. It is conceivable that as long as in the next few years, I guide agricultural production by observing the celestial phenomena in time, and ensure the harvest every year, my prestige among the people will be deeply rooted, and my luck will continue to grow. Quote, under the production conditions where farming depends on God's face, Wang Ji can master the ability to know the weather with one hand. This is no longer a prophet, but a saint, a god, and will be confessed by the people sooner or later. Therefore, Wang Ji is very confident that he can establish an indestructible prestige in the hearts of the people of Yu, and there is no need to worry about luck. With the support of the people and the prestige established in front of all officials, Wong Ji still has to follow the plan to win the old Taiwei's Sikong to his side. Looking down, you can see that in the court hall, Taiwei Jiao Rui and Sikong Han Deng bowed their heads to send congratulations, with smiles on their faces. My lord, I wish my king the enthronement. King Xinyue really surprised the two of them, such a monarch deserves their support. The ministers and officials can be considered to understand the current situation of the court of the Yu Kingdom. It is impossible for the Prime Minister, Zhang Yan, to dominate the family and monopolize the court. Wang Ji has gained a firm foothold in the Yu Kingdom. He raised his hand and said, all ministers are exempt from courtesy, inherit the throne alone, think deeply about the weight of entrustment, and have a sincere heart for hard work. They only care about their virtues, respect their relatives and virtuous people, accept their words and punish them, and do their best for the people, and work together to plan a new governance. My king is great, Prime Minister Zhang Yan said. Even if he was the one in the worst mood among all the people present, he still had to talk about the scene. However, Zhang Yan was already prepared in his heart. Just through a disaster relief campaign, Zhang Yan had already seen that the Xinyue king's methods were unusual. But as Emperor Zan's nail in the Yu Kingdom, his position is destined to attack the prestige of the Xinyue king, and then control the Yu Kingdom's government, let the Daxuan Empire control the Yu Kingdom, and realize the reduction of the vassal. It's just a small defeat, and the days when the monarch and ministers work together will be long. Zhang Yan cursed. The strength of the great Zan Empire and the support of Emperor Zan are Zhang Yan's confidence. He knows that the Yu Kingdom will not act rashly against him. Wang Ji, who was on the throne, could probably guess what Zhang Yan was thinking, and thought to himself, this prime minister is Emperor Zan's nail inserted into the Yu Kingdom. He can't move it, and he can't ignore it. Fortunately, my cheap father left me a means of restraint. With this in mind, Wang Ji proposed to the court after he ascended the throne that he would do 5 things. 1. Self-cultivation, light corvée and light fu, do not disturb the common people. 2. Taiwei, worshipping Zuguo, Zenggi Tongqin 2,000 households, leading troops to garrison Miaojun, guarding the border, protecting the country's peace. 3. Sikong has heavy responsibilities, supervises all officials, and if anyone harms the public due to personal interests, he will be severely punished. 4th, change the system of discussion. The king does not come to the court meeting, and all matters in the court are paid to the prime minister and Sikong. After retiring from the court, the two chose a memorial to submit, which was reviewed by the king. 5th, invite the god stone to enter the palace to worship, and thank the gods for their grace in disaster prevention and rescue. Court officials, including Zhang Yan, understood the first 3 items. Even the 3rd article, emphasizing Sikong's power, is secretly warning Zhang Yan not to play tricks, and everything must be done according to the rules. Zhang Yan was mentally prepared for this, and had nothing to say. But 4 or 5, Zhang Yan can't understand. I don't know, why did His Highness change the parliamentary system? Zhang Yan asked. He also murmured in his heart, not knowing what kind of card Yu Wang was playing. However, Wang Ji was very indifferent. He had already had a plan for this, and pretended to be self-deprecating. Lonely and young, and once greedy for the prosperity of Kyoto, greedy for pleasure, neglecting literature and martial arts, now the ruler of the country, fearful and fearful, conscious of shallow knowledge and poor talent, how to govern the country. You should study hard, and you should not be arrogant and meddle in government affairs. It is appropriate to pay talents and govern the country. The Prime Minister and Sikong are both the pillars of the country, full of knowledge, highly respected, and they are the people who were used by the previous kings. The affairs of the court are entrusted to you too. I can't be more relieved. Quote. To put it simply, Wang Ji excused his lack of ability and wanted to leave most of the work to the Prime Minister and Sikong. This, Zhang Yan frowned, and couldn't tell if there was any trap in it for a moment. How can there be a wise monarch who does not rule in court? I'm afraid it's not a faint king. Especially the 5th article, please enter the palace with the god stone. Invite the stone into the palace to worship. Zhang Yan thought Wang Ji's previous, immortal dream, was just an excuse, but he didn't expect him to come to the truth. Who was the last monarch who believed in ghosts and gods and asked immortals? It is the Emperor Qian, who is both the founding and the subjugating king of the country. Cultivating immortals has been regarded by scholars all over the world as a disaster for the country. Zhang Yan was quite confused, and so were all civil and military officials. Judging from the methods used by the king of Xinyu to win the hearts of the people before he succeeded to the throne, shouldn't this be a foolish king? Just when the court ministers didn't know why, Sikong Han Dang, who was named, immediately stood up and replied. The minister is very loving, shoulders heavy burdens, lives up to his highness's entrustment, and should devote himself to everything. Han Dang expressed his opinion and glanced at Zhang Yan. Everyone present knew that Sikong and King Yu wore the same pair of pants. Prime Minister Zhang Yan's eyes flickered. It stands to reason that King Yu's absence from the government would be a good thing for him to expand his power. Could it be possible that he was intimidated by Emperor Zan's majesty, did not dare to publicize it, and degraded himself to show his loyalty to Daxuan? It suddenly occurred to Zhang Yan that King Yu had said in front of Emperor Zan before that he was unhappy to think about Yu. Seeing the big from the small, the king of Xinyu did not dare to offend Daxuan, and only after he succeeded to the throne did he make such a concession as changing the parliamentary system. Thinking of this, Zhang Yan suddenly felt confident, and replied. I am a minister who has a great responsibility, and I am not afraid. I will be rewarded with merit and will not betray my trust. When Wong Ji heard this sentence, he showed a satisfied smile. Now his monarch offline system can be counted. In such a huge country of Yu, if he is the king of Yu, if he does everything himself, and also has to fight for power with Zhang Yan, how can he have time to practice martial arts and detachment? Zunxian asked. I still have to find some wage earners to help me manage things. Wang Ji's eyes narrowed, looking at the court officials. When he is in power, he must have enough time to use Yu's resources to help him grow and become stronger. As a time traveler, Wang Ji's Blue Star hometown has a long history, and in the long history, there have been heroes or wonderful things that people talk about. A large number of historical practices can be used as a reference for Wang Ji. Before the clone slate was activated, Wang Ji used the historical experience of his hometown to guide his words and deeds in this world. And after turning the stone monkey into a clone, Wang Ji's talent has been improved, and his memory has also been strengthened a lot. Even if he just read the text and watched the video before crossing, as long as Wang Ji recalls a little, he can grasp all the knowledge. Recall. Emperor Shushan, just right for my current situation. Wang Ji thought of the emperor in the history of his hometown who had not been in court for more than 20 years and stayed in the palace to practice immortality but still managed to hold power. Thinking about the current situation in Yu Kingdom and Wang Ji's own needs, he found that he seemed to be able to use that set of modifications with a little modification. Anyway, Zhang Yan wants to seize power, so let him do it, rectify the officialdom, and make government orders sound. I will leave all these trivial matters to him. As long as I hold the hearts of the people and have Sikong's support, Zhang Yan can't turn the sky. This is Wang Ji's idea. People's will is the cornerstone of administration, and officials must stand on the people's heart to make government orders understandable, otherwise they will be castles in the air. Wang Ji controls the sky and guarantees the harvest, and the hearts of the Vietnamese people will stand firmly with him. Then there is Sikong in charge of procuratorial power, which is a tiger-headed guillotine for officials. Wang Ji grasped the cornerstone with one hand and the tiger's head with the other. It seems that the king does not go to the court and delegates power to the prime minister, but in fact Wang Ji can still control the court. There is no way but no skill. Skills can still be sought. To deal with the problem, we must grasp the fundamentals. I don't want to waste too much energy in the officialdom. Who said that the king can't control the power if he doesn't come to the court? Not only will I, Wang Ji, not go to the court, I also want to practice martial arts and raise demon gods. This is Wang Ji's plan. On the first day of his succession, he issued the general policy of governing the country. At the very beginning, Prime Minister Zhang Yan was quite vigilant and did not dare to underestimate Wang Ji. But in the next few days, Zhang Yan found that Wang Ji really didn't want to take care of things. Except for some memorials that need to be read by King Yu, Wang Ji actually stayed in the palace at other times, either practicing martial arts with the guards around him, or asking Sikong Han Dang for advice. Are you really leaving most of the court affairs to yourself? Could it be that there is fraud, wanting me to relax and make mistakes, and then wait for the opportunity. Zhang Yan was vigilant in his heart. After all, Sikong is a member of King Yu. If he, a foreign prime minister, is caught and impeached, even with Emperor Zan as his backing, the ship may be overturned. Therefore, Zhang Yan tremblingly dealt with affairs big and small in the position of prime minister like walking on thin ice, not daring to show any flaws. There are courtiers who are so dedicated to their duties. Wong Ji is of course happy to be at leisure. On the 5th day after he took office, he arranged for manpower and guards to accompany him to Shenxi Mountain in Xiongyan County to carry the stone fetus of his avatar. Climbing up to Shenxi Mountain again, Wong Ji's identity is completely different. He was just the son of Yu before, but now he is the king of Yu. But the stone body living on the cliff seems to be unchanged, just like it has been for hundreds of years. However, only Wong Ji knew that under the nourishment of luck, the inside of the stone fetus was full of vitality and it was growing again. It's just that the incubation time seems to be a bit long. Wong Ji felt helpless. The legend of the sacred stone has a long history. 200 years ago, the sacred stone appeared in the eyes of the world. But at that time, the divine stones were just half-dead embryos. I'm afraid the hatching time of the stone fetus will be in units of 100 years. Wong Ji complained in his heart. Although the stone-born monkey is miraculous, it is the seed of gods and demons with extraordinary potential, but the incubation time is really long. He felt the same way as the avatar, and estimated that with his current luck and nourishment, it would take about 300 years for the stone fetus to break out of its shell. A mortal martial arts cultivator even reaches a grand master with a lifespan of only 150 years, but these stone fetuses, and even the corpse of the dragon in Shanghu Lake, these gods, demons, spirits, and monsters have a lifespan and strength far beyond that of ordinary people. Chow bacteria don't know the dark ages, and crickets don't know the age. In front of such gods and demons, martial arts masters are just life and death mayflies. Quote. Wong Ji felt emotional in his heart. But he didn't underestimate himself. For one thing, he could continue to collect luck and speed up the hatching of stone embryos. Wong Ji's current luck is 90% vermilion and 10% purple. After the last 10% purple turns into vermilion, it can reduce the incubation time by 10 years. If on Ju's basis, every 10% of luck is advanced to gold, then the incubation time can be reduced by another 15 years. In addition to reducing the incubation time, Wong Ji can also increase his lifespan through martial arts training. The 150 lifespan of a martial arts master may not be enough at first glance, but I know that there are examples of martial kings breaking through the martial arts masters and entering a higher realm of martial arts. The foundation, and then continue to prolong life. And I also have the ambition to become the #1 person in the world in martial arts, to achieve the feat of one man defeating 10,000 troops like a martial king. Whether it is becoming stronger and self-protecting, or longevity and vision, I can do it. Wong Ji is very confident that he can cultivate to the level of a martial arts master, and even break through. Because in the process of nourishing the stone fetus with his luck, the stone fetus, as a clone, will also share talent with his body. Wong Ji succeeded to the throne of Yu Wang, controlled the hearts of the people, his luck skyrocketed, and his stone fetus was full of vitality. Sharing gave him even more talent. He can clearly feel that he is efficient in learning and comprehending, which has provided a level mind calling. A piece of modeled vicissitudes, with strong fonts like knives and axes, and a stone slab paved with a simple and long-standing atmosphere emerged. Elves of heaven and earth, born to know, heavenly wizards. Eye of mingling, knowing changes, knowing the weather, knowing the location, and spying on ghosts and gods. These two abilities are enhanced under the development of the stone embryo, especially talent, which has been promoted from outstanding to genius. Wong Ji feels that his comprehension and memory ability is getting better and better. Not only is his talent in practice strengthened, but he can also quickly figure out the key points of all officials in the court, retract and release power, and govern the country, and quote scriptures and arguments, and apply them in practice. Practicing martial arts and self-improvement is practice, and the world of mortals is also practice. Wong Ji's talent enhancement is comprehensive. There is also the strengthening of the eye of the mingling. With the most practical ability of knowing the sky and time, in governing the country, Wong Ji found that his ability to see the sky has been strengthened on the scale of time and space. I can see the weather changes of most of the Yu kingdom in the next 200 days by standing in the same place. This undoubtedly gave Wong Ji a great boost in stabilizing his luck and governing the country. This is the case when he knows the sky, and the insight ability of mingling eye has also improved in other aspects. In addition, Wong Ji also noticed that his control over the god eye has improved. When I used the pupils before, it was easy to be noticed by warriors like Yan Fei and Zhao Rui who had good martial arts skills, and ordinary people could also see the magic in my eyes, but now my control over the pupils has increased, and I can use them. Seeing people in more subtle ways doesn't attract attention. This is also one of Wang Ji's gains. After succeeding to the throne of Yu Wang, 100 officials have established their prestige, received the hearts of the people, and increased his luck. The benefits of the stone fetus giving him feedback are so obvious. Stage harvest, there will be more in the future. Even though he is the king of Yu, Wang Ji still can't help but secretly excited. After inspecting the harvest, Wang Ji also began to organize people to transport the stone fetus back to the palace. Since we want to set up a character design of Shu Xian Fan Wang, then we will naturally implement it to the end and enshrine the sacred stone in the palace. Wang Ji laughed from the bottom of his heart. However, the strong man who moved the stone swallowed secretly after seeing the size of the divine stone. The stone tire is 3 feet 6 feet high, which is more than 12 meters. Yan Fei, who has a strength of 40,000 jin in both arms, estimates that the boulder weighs at least 1,000 tons. In fact, Yan Fei was wrong. Wang Ji knew that his stone fetus clone was miraculous. Although it lives on a cliff, it is actually rooted in the ground veins, as if there is a tie connecting the stone fetus with the earth, like a fetus and a mother. It looks like a stone but not a stone, like a mountain but not a mountain. Not to mention asking 10 martial arts masters to carry it together, even tens of thousands of tons of strength can't move it, because the stone tire is connected to the entire mountain. The rock shell of the stone body is even harder. At first glance, it looks like the limestone in the mountains, but in fact it is indestructible, and no knife or axe can leave a trace. The stone fetus spirit monkey is the spirit of heaven and earth, the seed of gods and demons, and the stone shell bred by it is naturally extraordinary. However, the stone womb spirit monkey has become Wang Ji's avatar after all, and Wang Ji can control the stone womb with his mind. The increase in luck has also greatly enhanced the activity of the stone fetus, and the avatar's intelligence can already interfere with some changes in the stone fetus. This mountain range has no spirit, and the stone fetus here can't absorb nutrients. It's like a dead pregnant woman. The fetus in the womb can no longer absorb nutrients from the mother's body. It's better to move it away, first cut off the ground roots, and then lighten the stone tires. Wang Ji's thoughts moved slightly. He was in an embryonic state. His avatar consciousness was relatively ignorant and his thinking ability was limited, but he was still able to respond. As the seed of gods and demons, it is just a thought, and the connection between the stone fetus and the earth is broken. The wrestlers who were about to move the stone seemed to hear an inexplicable chopping sound. For the stone fetus, like a baby whose umbilical cord has been cut, it instinctively feels uncomfortable and uneasy, but Wang Ji's Yu Wang's luck nourished it, and the stone fetus quickly adapted to the new state. No longer rooted in the ground, the stone tire can move naturally, but the stone tire itself is not bad, at least 1,000 tons. But the stone fetus is magical, it is the spirit of heaven and earth, the seed of gods and demons, it has some strange methods in itself, and after growing up, it has the ability to transfer stars and change battles. Even though it has not yet been born, under the support of Wang Ji's luck, it is just a thought, and it will naturally perform techniques similar to whip mountains and move stones, and zoom in and out. In one night, the size of the stone body suddenly became 10 times smaller, from about 12 meters high, like a hill, to a 3-meter high boulder. This is already the limit of the avatar, and it is also because the stone embryo is the shell that conceives itself, and things outside the shell can be difficult to control. You can't expect much ability from an unformed fetus. Wang Ji evaluated the clone's current ability in his heart. Although 40 tons weighs, it can still be carried by manpower and simple tools in this world where martial arts are flourishing. The wrestlers recruited by Wang Ji have the lowest level of martial arts cultivation and leather training. Most of the martial artists in the meat training realm have a strength of 800 catties with a single arm. After training to become a skin martial artist, most of the single arms can also have a strength of 1,800 jin. Wong Ji brought another elite fighter from the court, who was selected harshly and had a single arm strength of 2,000 catties. There are also 5 centurions at the bone training level, with a single arm strength of 3,800 jin. There are 26 wrestlers here, using rolling wood and crowbars to assist. They can work together to move the weight-reduced sacred stone. After becoming the Queen of Yu, I can mobilize more resources. Wong Ji looked at the bottom of his heart with emotion. Looking at those warriors with big arms, round waists, coppery skin and strong strength, Wong Ji was somewhat envious. Spending money to hire powerful warriors is not as good as becoming a powerful warrior yourself and holding force in your hands. While yearning in his heart, Wong Ji also knew that with the blessing of the stone fetus spirit monkey's talent, his martial arts must have a bright future. With anticipation in mind, Wong Ji accompanied Lux to carry the stone fetus from Shangyan County to the palace. Because of the impressive size of the stone tire, there must be no way to cover it up. The common people along the way know that King Xinyu moved a big stone from the mountain. What's the use of the King of Yu moving the big stone? One of the onlookers couldn't help being puzzled. Some elders in the county said in a dissatisfied tone, "You are stupid, the King of Yu is inviting the gods." He invited the gods on the mountain back to the palace to worship sincerely, and let the gods bless the country of Yu. Ah, fairy. A group of people couldn't figure it out, and the elders talked about it in an inscrutable manner, about the disaster relief and harvest of the king of Xinyu half a month ago. It is because of this fairy's guidance in his dream that our rice can be kept. The elder said firmly. All the people suddenly gasped. Longdedong obediently, Jia is a god. Hearing that it was a god who rescued disasters and protected harvests a few days ago, the people watching were shocked, and some even knelt down in the street. Thank the gods for avoiding disasters and ensuring the harvest, and pray that the gods will also protect the crops in the field in the coming year. Looking at the reaction of the crowd, Wong Ji felt most intuitively that his luck had increased slightly. Yes, that's it. From now on, I will just ignore political affairs and ask immortals and worship gods as the King of Yu. Wong Ji was satisfied in his heart, so sooner or later the folk rumors would spread to the Dakshuan Empire. There is a lesson learned from the past. It is already the consensus of the nobles in the world to cultivate immortals and harm the country. If you hear a king who ignores the government and asks the immortals, he will probably criticize it in private. First, call him a foolish king. Sigh again, the country is in danger. But Wong Ji wished that the group of outsiders would think so, and the main point was a strategic trick. On the way back to the palace, he generously showed the sacred stone to the people or officials along the way, letting most of the Yu kingdom know that the King of Yu invited a big stone and put it in the palace to worship. The people of Yu knew that this was the god who instructed the King of Yu to protect the crops, so they did not feel disgusted at all, and welcomed them wholeheartedly. They were a simple and pragmatic group. The officials felt a little absurd. They are all officials and naturally they don't believe in ghosts and gods. They just felt a little tired and slandered that the behavior of the King of Xinyu was really deviant. The grotesque move was afraid of arousing the suspicion of the Dakshuan Empire. In this way, it took Wong Ji 5 days to invite the stone fetus avatar into the palace. The next step is to arrange the specific placement of the stone tires. Wong Ji's mingling eye has the ability to know the location. After strengthening, he can see the distribution of soil and rock nearly 100 meters underground. He was quite pleasantly surprised to find that there was actually a mountain in the palace. The so-called root is a mountain, and no root is a rock. As long as the rock is connected to the ground, it is considered a mountain. Even if the mountain is covered by soil and only a few meters are exposed, it is still a mountain. Wong Ji discovered that there was actually a mountain that was only less than 1 meter above the ground in his palace. This mountain is just right. It can be used as a base for the stone tire, so that the stone tire can be reconnected with the earth. Wong Ji used it as a place to place the stone tires, so that the wrestlers could dig out the soil and smooth the mountain peaks. Then ask craftsmen to carve the mountain into the shape of a tray, with carving methods, and decorate it with cloud patterns, orchid grass, and sun and moon patterns as decorations to increase the beauty. Finally, put the stone tires on a tray and connect them with the ground veins. In this way, the stone tires will stand in the palace. Unless you have the ability to move mountains and have a force of tens of thousands of caddies, you cannot shake the stone tires. Put the stone fetus by your side and arrange someone to take care of it. This important task has finally been completed. Wong Ji heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't worry about leaving such an important thing in the wilderness. I use the talk of ghosts and gods as an excuse to cover each other with stone fetuses. Except for ordinary people, no official will take the real god stone seriously. They only think it is performance art, or I will smear my reputation in front of the Dakshuan Empire. Means. Ha ha, true and false, who can tell the difference? Wong Ji smiled slightly. After finishing this important matter, Wong Ji will also focus most of his energy on self-improvement and martial arts practice. The stone fetus avatar enhances talent, and as the King of Yu, Wong Ji can then go to the treasure house of the King of Yu to obtain the resources for practicing martial arts. As the King of Yu, nominally the owner of the Yu Kingdom, Wong Ji has the entire Yu Kingdom as the backing for his practice. He went to Da Xinong, one of the 9 ministers, who is equivalent to the Minister of Finance and is responsible for collecting land taxes, oral taxes, and corvees from the Yu Kingdom. Through Da Xinong, Wong Ji understands that there are 28,000 households in Yu State today, with 3 million mu of arable land, and the annual grain production per mu is roughly 2 stones, and the land tax is 15 to 1 tax. In fact, the specific situation of the land tax collected every year will be more complicated. There are both owner farmers and tenant farmers, private land and public land, as well as local tyrants and gentry, and land for rewarding meritorious officials. Wong Ji only had a little understanding that these taxes were charged into the national treasury, used to maintain the country's operations, pay officials' salaries, build people's livelihood fortifications, and so on. In short, Wong Ji does not have much right to use this part of the money, he just wants to know about the income and expenditure of the Yu Kingdom. What really belonged to King Yu's private small treasury was called internal money, and this part was the treasury that Wong Ji could control at will. The source of income is the tax of mountains, seas, ponds, that is, Yantishan mine, fishing and logging, and some places provide offerings to the palace. The internal funds are in charge of another, minister of the Xiaofu of Juqing. Xiao Fuqing can be regarded as the life assistant of the King of Yu, responsible for managing all production expenses in the palace, recruiting maids and eunuchs, eating and drinking, and traveling and hosting banquets. When Wong Ji contacted him, Xiao Fuqing asked, "Your Highness, do you want everything in the palace to maintain the old system? Or do you want to recruit more maids and eunuchs, or other measures?" Wong Ji replied, "It is not appropriate to be extravagant, and everything is as usual." Before crossing, Wong Ji was also an independent character. He really didn't have the habit of asking others to serve him. Besides, all these enjoyments had to be paid for from internal funds. Wong Ji learned how much food and silk he had in the small treasury from the young minister. His cheap father still left him a lot of personal inheritance. He has 5.4 million yuan in money, and the anchor grain price is about 90 yuan per stone, and he has 40,000 gold and 60,000 silver. 45 bolts of silk, 119 bolts of brocade, 500 bolts of silk, and 1,000 bolts of silk. And some special ores specially made for warriors to make armor weapons are also precious things. Although the Lao Yu king was a relatively diligent and thrifty prince, he was a prince after all, and he left a huge amount of private inheritance. Wong Ji found out that he was rich at the first glance, and felt that he should not be short of money in his future life. But the above private property is nothing more than gold and silver and the cloth to wear on his body. He doesn't want to enjoy it. Wong Ji cares more about the food for martial arts. Practicing martial arts also requires resources. In addition to the secrets of exercises, the food you eat is also an important resource for practice. Whole grains are just for ordinary people to fill their stomachs and maintain their lives. If you want to practice martial arts, you have to eat meat every 3 days at worst. Martial arts practice is the process of refining the essence of food to strengthen the body. The more essence contained in the food, the better the effect of martial arts and the faster the upgrade. Conversely, if you do not get enough energy to replenish during martial arts, you will only lose your vitality and use up your body. Wong Ji couldn't help recalling the days when he was a proton in Kyoto. Although he is under house arrest, Wong Ji's identity is there, and he is also thrifty, so he can basically eat meat every day when he practices martial arts. But that's just ordinary pork raised by farmers. Under the same weight, the energy provided by meat is several times that of coarse grains such as brown rice, but there are foods that can provide more energy than ordinary meat. Most of them are some rare polished rice, rare birds and animals, which are collectively called secret food of martial arts. After consuming the secret food, warriors can gain more energy than ordinary meat, and their cultivation speed has been significantly improved. It is also because the secret food can bring great benefits to martial arts practice, coupled with the high cost of obtaining the secret food and the consideration of controlling folk warriors. Therefore, the channels for obtaining secret food are generally controlled by the government and aristocratic families. At the same time, in order to ensure the deterrence of official force, secret food is given priority to the army in most cases, and it must be a military soldier with meritorious service. Martial arts secret food is a strategic resource, a military item, and its control is as strict as bows and armor. For these reasons, even though Wong Ji was not treated badly in those years when he was a proton, he was not exposed to the secret food of martial arts that greatly enhanced martial arts. But now, Wong Ji is the king of Yu. What government, what family, what army, in the land of Yu, Wong Ji is the king. When Wong Ji enthusiastically asked the secretary of the Xiaofu about the reserves of martial arts secret food in the internal funds, the reply he got was this. There are 320 stones of blood crystal rice, 78 baskets of milk essence thistle, 13 strains of rare strong blood ginseng, and 52 doses of dragon and tiger soup. Compared with the previous tens of thousands of money, gold and silver, the amount of secret food related to martial arts in the internal funds pales in comparison. A middle-level farmer works hard all year round, and the ordinary grain harvested from the fields is only about 120 shi, while the martial arts crystal rice stored in the internal funds is actually only a little over 300 shi. Wong Ji now intuitively understands the preciousness of martial arts secret food. Not too much, Wong Ji complained. The minister of the Xiaofu explained. Your Highness does not know that this blood crystal rice and milk thistle are grown from the fields. These two secret foods are both delicate and expensive, and they also eat the fertility of the land, and the yield is low. Harvesting a stone of blood crystal rice requires 4 acres of fertile land, and harvesting a basket of milk thistle also requires 4 acres of fertile land. The harvest takes about 1 year, and the field needs to be left fallow for 2 years after the harvest to restore its fertility. Wong Ji couldn't help but click his tongue when he heard the words. 1 mu of good land can produce 2 stones of rice, and 60 mu of land can allow a family of 5 to live a stable life. Simple conversion, and considering the fallow land, the cost of blood crystal rice is at least 24 times that of ordinary rice under the same volume. As a king, Wong Ji understood the difficulty of obtaining blood crystal rice after a little thought. Thinking about it this way, on the basis of ensuring the rations of the people of Yu, there are very few fields that can be used to grow blood crystal rice. The amount of blood crystal rice harvested every year is only so much, and all parties will divide it according to demand. Wong Ji felt a little helpless. Based on his food intake and martial arts training needs, he needed 15 stones of blood crystal rice every year, and planted once every 3 years, which was 45 stones. At first glance, the secret food stored in the money is still enough, and there is a lot of surplus. But Xiao Fuqing told Wong Ji that the money in the house would support the entire court. Wong Ji is not the only one practicing martial arts in the palace. The warriors recruited, the pawns who protect the palace, he also needs martial arts secret food, or this is one of the important reasons why they are loyal to the king of Yu. Just like the warriors in the bone training state, Lao Yu Wang paid them a minimum of 3 do per month in salary, and the minimum of 6 do per month in the tendon-yielding state. A certain amount of secret food needs to be distributed every month as part of the monthly salary of these palace guards. The head of the family knew that firewood, rice, oil and salt were expensive. Considering these kinds of expenses, and Wang Ji's increased food intake after breaking through the realm, he immediately found that the more than 300 stone blood crystal rice stored in his internal funds seemed to be barely enough. Wang Ji is glad that he currently has secret food for martial arts training, but he can't help worrying about whether the food will increase in the future, whether the stock will be enough. Martial arts secret food is an important strategic resource of a country. It is an important basis for cultivating warriors and maintaining the army. It is also closely related to Wong Ji's own practice. Ensuring food production is an important means of stabilizing the country. Maybe, do I still have to figure out how to farm? Wong Ji cursed in his heart. But when this idea just popped up, a flash of light suddenly appeared in his mind. Yes, why can't I start to increase the production of these secret food crops? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.